Again. Tonight, the first kickoff classic is a classic opening of the 1983 college football season. Presented by KATZ Sports. Defending national champion Penn State takes on top-ranked Nebraska, the preseason favorite to be #1 in 1983. This kickoff classic preview is brought to you by Linen Speed Stick Super Dry Antiperspirant. Goes on so dry you can get dressed right away. And by Rico of America, proud to be a sponsor of the Kickoff Classic.
Hi everybody, I'm Kurt Gowdy and welcome to a new happening on the American sporting scene, the inaugural Kickoff Classic. The National Collegiate Athletic Association is allowing 2 college teams each year to play an extra game before September 1st. The benefit will be the National College Football Foundation and the College Football Hall of Fame. Kickoff Classic, really a fitting title because this game does kick off the 1983 college football season, and it's a classic matchup. I can't remember when a defending national champ like Penn State meets a team that has already been rated #1 by the 2 wire service polls for this coming season in the University of Nebraska. We have everything out here tonight. We have 2 of the top 3 winning coaches in America, Paterno and Osborne. We have the leading candidate for the Heisman Trophy, Mike Rozier, the I-back of Nebraska. 2 great flankers, 2 of the best in America on one field, and one of the most explosive backfields returning intact for Nebraska. Now here's Dave Dials to give you a pre-cook-off slant.
Thank you very much, Kurt. On this program, we're going to try to better acquaint you with these great universities, the football programs, and the coaches. You know, rarely if ever have 2 teams opened a football season with a game of this magnitude. But it would be really hard to imagine these 2 teams playing a better game tonight than they played in 1982. Penn State and Nebraska, a classic intersectional matchup. Both schools with tradition, great athletes, and 2 of college football's finest mentors in Penn State's Joe Paterno and Nebraska's Tom Osborne. The 1982 game was all Penn State in the early going. The Nittany Lions built a 21-7 lead going into the 3rd period. 2 Todd Blackledge touchdown passes and a 2-yard run by Kurt Warner did the trick for the Nittany Lions. Nebraska, though, scratched from behind and trailed only 21-17 after a 2-yard scoring lob to Mike Rozier and a field goal. And then quarterback Turner Gill marched the Huskers 80 yards and scored himself on a quarterback sneak, and Nebraska took a lead 24-21. Only a minute 18 remained, and Penn State quarterback Todd Blackledge drove his team 65 yards in 10 plays. The key play was this disputed catch by tight end Kirk Bowman for a touchdown with just 4 seconds to go. Was it a catch or was it a trap? The official said it was a catch, and Penn State had a thrilling 27-24 victory. That far, you'll remember that Franklin Delano Roosevelt was president at that time. Joe Paterno has been coaching football here for 17 seasons. He's taken his teams to 15 bowl games, losing only 4 times. 13 times his teams have been nationally ranked, and 3 times they've had perfect seasons, only to be deprived of the #1 ranking. Last year, though, the Nittany Lions became #1. Let's see how they did it. Quarterback Todd Blackledge christened 1982 as the year of the Nittany Airline. Todd landed a school record 4 touchdown passes in Game 1. Penn State flying past Temple 31-14. Game 2 became an aerial dogfight between Blackledge and Maryland pilot Boomer Esiason. Blackledge matched his record with 4 more touchdown passes. The Lions held on for victory 39-31 over Maryland. In week number 3, Joe Paterno's forces got off to a very sluggish start against Rutgers. Mark Robinson sparked a lackluster first half with a 92-yard punt return, the 2nd longest in Penn State history. The Lions led by only 21-14 at halftime, but then exploded for 28 points in the 2nd half and beat the Scarlet Knights 49-14. Then came week number 4 and the critical victory over Nebraska. Drawing Bear Bryant's Alabama team the week after Nebraska, well, it simply proved to be too much. The Nittany Lions fell behind 21-7 at the half, then battled back to trail only 24-21 with 14 minutes to play. Alabama left Legion Field in Birmingham with a 42-21 decision. The Nittany Lions bounced back in week 6 with a 28-7 homecoming victory over Syracuse. Kurt Warner rushing for 148 yards to lead the attack. The defense sparkled in week 7 as the Lions shut out resurgent West Virginia 24-0. The Mountaineers amassed 382 yards but couldn't get a point on the board. Scott Redisick had an 85-yard interception return of a Jeff Hostetler pass for a Penn State touchdown. The offense again was in high gear by week number 8. Penn State steamrolled a good Boston College team 52-17. Kenny Jackson grabbed 2 long touchdown passes to spark that victory. In week number 9, Kurt Warner topped 100 yards. Kenny Jackson grabbed 7 blackledge tosses, and the defense sparkled in a 54-0 whitewash of North Carolina State. South Bend, Indiana was the setting, and the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame were sky high. The Lions trailed 14-13 going into the final quarter, but a 48-yard touchdown pass from blackledge to Warner, then a safety by Lion defensive end Walker Lee Ashley gave Penn State a touchdown lead. Late field goal giving the Lions a hard-fought victory 24-14. Penn State rallied from behind for the 5th time to win, this time against traditional rival Pittsburgh. Final score, Penn State 19, Pittsburgh 10. Penn State went into New Year's Day knowing a victory could bring the coveted #1 title. As they had all season, Blackledge and Warner were superb. Warner rushing for 117 yards, Blackledge sealing a still undecided contest with a 48-yard touchdown strike to Greg Garrity. The 27-23 Penn State victory sealed the championship season. "We are family" is not just a trite saying at Penn State. All-America linebacker Scott Radisick's young brother Keith is a freshman offensive guard this year. Mike and Ray Leskowski are sibling linemen, but no one beats the Hamilton family, with Harry, Lance, and Darren in the blue and white. What influenced all of you to come to Penn State?
Coach Paterno. Coach Paterno was interested in me, not only in what I could do for him on the athletic field and in the field of athletics, but what I could bring to the football program and to Penn State on a personal level, the kind of person I was.
Lance, it was much easier for Coach Paterno to recruit you because he had a pretty good in with your older brother.
Very definitely. My brother Harry influenced me to come to Penn State. He told me of how he was pleased with the program here. So automatically that is a step in the right direction, you know, because we are so close. I take his word on important facts and important things like that. So Coach Paterno's job was a lot easier in recruiting me than it was for my brother.
And then getting you here, Darren, I suppose you really had no choice.
True. Well, we are a close-knit family, and Harry had no complaints, and obviously Lance didn't either. And I said, well, that was 2 good choices right there, so third one can't be too wrong.
It's very difficult to maintain excellence anywhere, but you do it not only on the football field, but in the classroom as well, with a 3.8 average. How do you do it?
It's a question of listing your priorities. You know, what do you want to do? What do you want out of life? And I decided to list my priorities accordingly. You have to set aside a certain amount of time for study. You know, they require a certain amount of you on the football field, and whatever other time that you can arrange, you have to put it to studying, and anything left over would have to go to the other things you might desire.
Most big-time schools have a breather or two early in the campaign, Penn State opening with Nebraska. How does this affect your thinking, your summer conditioning, everything?
Well, I don't know how the norm is, but I know when all the players were asked early in the spring whether they want to play this early game, there was a vote and everyone agreed to play. So that says something for the type of people on this team, the competitive attitude.
To open up with a team such as Nebraska early on is going to let us know exactly where we stand and what we have to do to get better. And you only go around once in your college days, so why not play a team as Nebraska?
Nebraska has won 2 national championships, and except for a controversial play against Penn State in 1982, the Cornhuskers would have added a 3rd. But it does no good to dwell on what might have been.
In this, the first Kickoff Classic, presented by KATZ Sports. Live from Giant Stadium in the heart of the Meadowlands of New Jersey, the Kickoff Classic features Penn State's Nittany Lions against the Cornhuskers of Nebraska. This telecast is brought to you by the new Right Guard deodorant stick. You work hard, you need Right Guard. And by Ricoh of America, proud to be a sponsor of the Kickoff Classic. And by a company called TRW, where tomorrow is taking shape. And by Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light. It doesn't get any better than this. And by Mercedes-Benz, engineered like no other car in the world.
Over 70,000 fans, Giant Stadium, the beautiful Meadowlands complex here in New Jersey for the opening of the Kickoff Classics. An ideal night for football here on August 29th. Game time temperature, 72 degrees. Hi, everybody. I'm Kurt Gowdy, and welcome to the first Kickoff Classic. You know, last September 25th, little did we know that the unofficial national championship was decided when Penn State nipped Nebraska in the last 4 seconds. Nebraska didn't lose a game the rest of the year, neither did Penn State, and Penn State won the poll. So here we are, Lee Corso, the former head coach at Louisville in Indiana, nearly a year later. Now when they match up, what's the difference?
Well, Penn State lost 7 fine football players to the pros, including an All-American quarterback and All-American tailback. They've got 2 quarterbacks that have not played before and a tailback with a bad knee. But defense is their game, and I'll tell you what, they got 4 legitimate All-Americans on defense.
What about Nebraska?
You've heard of the 4 horsemen of Notre Dame? You might see the 4 thoroughbreds of Nebraska. They've got a dynamite offensive football team. But the problem is they only got 1 ball to play with.
That's right. They have 3 Heisman Trophy candidates in the same backfield. Down on the field, roaming the sidelines, will be my cohort, Dave Dials. What's it feel like down there, Dave?
Well, as you know, Kurt, when this game was first put on the board, neither coach was enthusiastic about it all. As a matter of fact, Joe Paterno voted no at the NCAA convention. But his players and those of Tom Osborne were enthusiastic, and that has spread. It's become infectious. Both coaches are enthusiastic. Somebody asked me if I wanted to spend August night covering football in the Meadowlands. I said, no, I want to go hear Willie Nelson. Here I am, and I'm enthusiastic, too.
All right, Dave, now a little bit later, we're going to meet the 2 head coaches and their starting lineups as they come out and talk about them. We'll be right back here at Giant Stadium. Penn State has just come out. They'll be in white tonight. Joe Paterno, there he is, 17 years as head coach, following Rip Engel, 15 bowl games for him. 4 undefeated seasons, 3 seasons of only 1 loss, 4 seasons of 2 losses. You're a good friend of his. What about Joe Paterno?
For 23 years, I've been a good friend of him, and one of the great things about Joe Paterno is not that win and loss record, but the fact that 90% of the scholarship athletes that have played for Joe Paterno have graduated from Penn State. Now, what's going through Joe Paterno's mind right now is the fact that I promise you, he's got goosebumps up and down his neck. It's like starting on Broadway. And here comes the Cornhuskers of Nebraska. You notice the field tilting a little bit?
Yeah, they're big. They've always been big there, especially big lineman. Tom Osborne, a low-key fellow. There he is, 10 years as head coach. 10 times in a row, finished in the top 10 of the country each year.
I think he should be called the E.F. Hutton of college coaches. He doesn't talk very much, but when he does, everybody listens. Look at that record.
I just ran into the athletic director, Bob Devaney, who's one of the all-time great college coaches. He says this man is the best coach in America.
Well,
He may be partial, but he doesn't say much.
Well, he ought to be partial. I just ran into the athletic director at Penn State. He said Paterno was the best coach in America.
All right, we're going to be back here with the toss of the coin and the opening kickoff right after this message. Penn State, Nebraska, the kickoff classic. We're supposed to have some parachutists from the United States Air Force Combat Control Team of the 21st Air Force stationed at McGuire Air Force Base jumping onto the field with the game ball and the coin, but I don't see them, so maybe weather, something has canceled that. Right now the captains are going out. The coin used in the official toss is the 1983 U.S. Olympic silver coin. There it is. Treasury Department has minted the coins to raise funds for the 84 Olympics. Here come the jumpers now. They're overhead. The captains for Penn State in the white. Ron Heller, Ken Jackson on offense. Mark Robinson, Scott Radisick on defense. And for Nebraska, here come the jumpers in from a helicopter 3,300 feet high. And their goal is to come on in to the 50-yard line. The big crowd now craning their necks to watch them land. You watch them too. Here he comes. Well done on the 39. Give him a hand. Here comes the second one in. This will be closer to the 50.
This guy must be on the first team.
49, he just missed it. There's the game ball. The ceremonial game ball by one of the Air Force parachutists. Mike Tranmer and Mike Keeley are the defensive captains for Nebraska. The offensive captains will be the quarterback, Turner Gill, and the right guard, Dean Steinkuhler. Down there are the dignitaries, Vincent DePaul Dratty, the chairman of the board, the National Football Foundation, the Hall of Fame, Bob McCulhay, the commissioner and chief executive officer of the New Jersey Sports and Exposition Authority. They're sponsoring this game each year. And Laura Smith, the general manager of the New Jersey Sports and Exposition Authority. It's through the efforts of these men and their organizations that the Kickoff Classic has become a reality. All right, let's sum this up again. Any game this early is a tough one to figure. But on paper, knowing what they have coming back, the edge on offense to Nebraska, backfield returning intact. And three of those backs are good enough to vie for the Heisman Trophy. The quarterback, Gill, the I-back, Rozier, and the flanker, Fryer. Penn State has some marvelous players on defense. They're very questionable at quarterback. Their running backs are not experienced except for two. So you'd say that Penn State will hang in this game and win it. If they do, on defense, and Nebraska on offense.
And also the kicking game could become very important, and the edge goes there to Penn State.
On this field, we have probably two or three of the best kick and punt returners in college football. Irving Fryer, number 27, and Mike Rozier, number 30, and also Jeff Smith, number 28. Now they're going to put Smith in with Rozier to open the game. 28 is Smith, Rozier is number 30. Here's your kicker. And that's Herb Bellamy for Penn State. Rather a surprise. We may, let's get a quick report on the tailback with a bad knee or a gimpy knee, John Williams. What about it, Dave? You found out anything?
Kurt, I have. I just spoke with him a minute ago, and I signaled to the knee, and I said, how is it? And we assume he's going to be tentative, but he says he's not. He says, I'm ready to go full blast. We'll have to wait and see.
All right, here we go with Bellamy to kick off. Rozier and Jeff Smith, the speedster, deep. Rozier handles it, fumbles it on the 20, and recovers it. Fortunately, what a way to open the season, fumbling the opening kickoff over to the other club, but he averted it when he alertly went forward and pounced on it. So it'll be Nebraska's ball, first down And they'll spot the ball on the Nebraska 25. Gill's at quarterback. Rozier is the deep man, the eye back. Chalene is the fullback. Pryor is the wing back. Split into Simmons. The other flanker, Pryor. There's the offensive line. Granowitz is the key man there. He's replacing Dave Remington, the most honored interior lineman in the history of college football. All right, Pryor's flank to the left, Simmons to the right. Here we go. The first play, a mix-up in the backfield. Gill sprinting out, being chased by Zordich. Zordich nails him, a sophomore linebacker who is destined for greatness at Penn State. He started 3 games as a freshman. Number 43, Zordich got him. There's the Penn State defense. They play a 4-man front. Only 2 down linemen, you'll notice. Hines and Gattuso are down on their hands. There's the linebackers. Radicic's the key there, an All-American. And the secondary with 2 potential All-Americans there. Scott Kimball is in now as a flanker. Pryor is a slot. The pitch goes to Rozier. Rozier fights his way back to the 24. Rozier last year averaged 140 yards a game. The lowest output for the season was 86 yards against Penn State. They really keyed on him last year, so Nebraska hurt Penn State passing.
And also, Penn State is famous for always taking away the best ball player on the other team. Joe Paterno has been famous for years for doing that, including Herschel Walker.
3rd down, 12, a slot left. Simmons and Pryor slotted out to the left. Just started here, the kickoff classic. Turner Gill for his first pass. Out to Rozier at the 20, 25, 30. Jumped at the 34-yard line, short of a first down. Nebraska will have to punt. The hit is made by Greg Gattuso, a defensive tackle who roams all over this field, and the man who led Penn State in tackling last year, Mark Robinson, All-American safety. Here comes Gattuso out, number 70. Scott Livingston will punt. And Kenny Bow, number 11, and Kenny Jackson, 82. Jackson and Bow are 2 of the best also. Any one of these kickoff or punt returners for either club can break a long one at any time. They specialize in it. 4th down, 2 for Nebraska. Livingston boots it. Beautiful kick. Twisting spiral. Bow on the 14 to the 15 to the 20, and down he goes in the 21-yard line. And it is Tom Rathman, second-string fullback, who went down to cover for Nebraska. So Penn State now goes on the attack. First down on their 21. Doug Strang at quarterback. John Williams at tailback. Tony Mumford at fullback. Jackson and Bow are the flankers. The tight end is Kirk Bowman. There's the line. Keller, McGinnis, Hayden, Woofter, and Short. They run out of all kinds of setups. Jackson, flank to the right, Bow to the left. Strang threw only 22 passes last year, backing up Todd Blackledge. He rolls out, he's going to throw on the first play of the game to Jackson at the 30. Jackson's out of bounds on the 32-yard line. Kenny Jackson, number 82. Joe Paterno says, I wouldn't trade him for any flanker in America. Tom Osborne wouldn't trade Pryor either.
There's a little boot action. What they're trying to do, first of all, with Strang is to complete the first pass. Remember, he hasn't played very long. He throws a nice, short, concise pass. Perfect play to Jackson. Remember, the key to Strang is starting off nice and smooth.
Strang is a junior from Linwood, New Jersey. Now a lone setback. Tony Mumford is the fullback. You'll see this a lot tonight. Nebraska may be blitzing tonight, too. Here's Mumford. He can run with speed for a fullback. From Lindenwold, New Jersey. Bill Weber, the left end, and Rob Stuckey, the right guard, hit him there. All right, there's Nebraska defensive line. They play a 5-man front. They have 2 linebackers, Mark Dahm and Mike Knox. Then they have a monster man, Mike McCashman, who's the number 2. And the cornerbacks are Neil Harris, Dave Burke, the safety man, their best player, Brett Clark. Demidio's out. John Williams is in. Here's a pass, Strang. It is nearly intercepted. Mike McCashman nearly picked it off, intended for Kenny Jackson.
Penn State immediately is going to the short passing game with Strang, number 18, to try to get his confidence. Burke right there probably has had a problem. He got hurt in practice Friday out there. Remember when we were out there, Kurt? He ran into that defensive back. He might have a problem with his knee. We got to watch that as the game goes on.
Third down, 9 to go. Penn State on their 33, no score. 12-18 to play in the first period. Jackson is to the left. Bow to the right is the wideouts. Lone setback. Strangle throw, good protection, lobs it deep for the tight end Domidio. It's over his head. Dean Domidio, Westchester, Pennsylvania. He was smothered by Brett Clark, the Nebraska safety man, and now Penn State must kick. And George Reynolds will come in to do the punting. I guess in pregame estimates, Lee, Penn State gets the edge on kicking.
No question, because they've had a kicker that kicked the ball before. But Livingston booted that ball beautifully for a man who's never punted a ball in college football before.
Irving Pryor, number 27. Jeff Smith, 28, are the deep men. Pryor finished 4th of the nation in punt returns last year, 3rd the year before. Mike Stillman is the snapper. It's a high spiral fair catch call on the 22. Incidentally, this year, a new rule, no defensive player can come within 2 yards of the safety man on the ball's downward flight. In other words, they can't go in and stare him in the face. Run by him the way they used to do. We'll be back with more play-by-play from Giant Stadium right after this word.
Seguin, Texas and Milwaukee both mean something great to these guys. Seguin means...
Number 1 in total offense. Number 1 in rushing, 394 yards a game. Number 1 in the nation in scoring, 43 points a game. The pitch is to Rozier. He's at the 25 and pounded down to the 27. He's hit there by Radisek, the inside linebacker, and Zordich, the outside linebacker.
That's a little bit more like Nebraska. The first series of downs wasn't Nebraska. They got a little too fancy. They usually like to come out of the huddle, line up, roll up their sleeves, and find out how good a man you are.
Well, last year they rushed 394 yards a game, passed 124, better than a 3-to-1 ratio, run over pass. Second down, 5, Nebraska, under 27. Option play. Turner Gill, the quarterback, is out to the 35 and has a first down. Harry Hamilton, the hero, the rover in the Penn State defense, made the hit on him. Turner Gill wanted to go to Oklahoma, but he's an outstanding baseball player. He was drafted by the White Sox out of high school. In fact, 2 major league clubs have drafted him. He plays shortstop for the Nebraska baseball team. And Nebraska said, come on, play baseball and football. We don't mind. So he's completing his career at Nebraska. First down, Nebraska on their 35. No score, first period. Gill to Rozier. Rozier is hit by 55, shakes away. He got away from 2 men. The penetration was made by Tom Johnson. He got to him, slowed him down. But Rozier showed you his running ability. He still picked up 3 yards.
That's what you want to try to count tonight. How many yards Rozier and his running backs make after their first contact by a defensive man. That's how you test a really great running back. Not those guys who run through those big holes.
Well, he set the all-time record in the single season, 1,689 yards for Nebraska last year. Many games set out the second half. Gill on the run. He's got Pryor open at the 40, 35. Kenny Pryor taken away and is knocked down by Mark Robinson, the safety man, number 32. Pryor, Gilbrand of the Dallas Cowboys said, here's the #1 prospect as a flanker in America. He's fast and he's very strong.
He's got great speed. They'll fake the ball to Rozier, and they'll come out. They've sent number 7. You can't see him. Simmons deep, and he lobs this ball. This is why Coach Osborne says that this combination is the best combination he's ever coached in Nebraska, because they got great natural ability.
23-yard pass play, Irving Pryor from Mount Holly, New Jersey. He's close to home. Nebraska has their second first down in a row. They're on Penn State's 40. Gill, quick toss to Rozier. Rozier taken down on the Penn State 36. And the tackle is by 86, John Walter, the defensive end.
This looks a little bit more like Nebraska. Give the ball to Rozier, fake the ball to Rozier, and throw it to Pryor. The option play is the #1 play on this football team, because Gill, without a question, is the greatest quarterback in college football today who runs and throws.
He's a threat on the run. He's a threat on the rollout to pass, and he can drop back and pass. Shane Swanson has replaced Fryer as the flanker now. He's number 17. There's a hit. There's a flag down. Greg Gattuso, number 70, penetrating. He may have a face mask on this, though. Incidentally, we have 6 officials in this game. It's a face mask. Robert Woods, the referee in the white hat. Scott Dawson's the umpire. The linesman is William Jamerson. The line judge is Carl Herikovich. The field judge is James Robertson. The back judge, William Lovett. They're all from the Atlantic Coast Conference. They're all neutral. And incidentally, this year, under the collegiate football rules, there'll be 7 officials assigned to games. There are 6. Let's watch it, Lee.
Watch Gattuso, number 70. He just looks mean. He jumps quick. Now remember, there's 2 kinds of face mask penalty. One, intentional, is 15 yards. That was not intentional, so it was only a 5-yard penalty.
Second down, 2 yards to go. Gill on the option, cracks the first down. So he has that option. He watches that defensive end. If the end floats out to take the trailer, he cuts inside of him like he did there. He options. He does what the defensive end tells him to do.
And it looks like the defensive end's theory at Penn State is to force Gill to run the ball. They do not want him to pitch the ball to Rozier.
Fryer's back in as a flanker. Jeff Smith's in as a tailback. He's a terrific junior, but he's got a Heisman Trophy man ahead of him. Nebraska, first down on the 28 of Penn State. No score. Reverse to Fryer, 25. Reverses back, pounds his way to the 22. Zordich, the outside linebacker, the sophomore, hit him. And Radistik helped him.
There's a great picture of Tom Osborne. Tom Osborne is his own offensive coordinator. In fact, at the banquet last night, Joe Paterno called him one of the greatest offensive coaches in the history of college football.
It is second down 4. There's their record last year. First in every category. Same backfield returning. Rozier's back in as a high back. Now he'll be the deep man. Shalene is the fullback ahead of him. Good blocker. Second down, 4 to go. Nebraska threatening. Whistle. Flags go down. They have 25 seconds to get a playoff in college football. Let's see if they took too much time. I heard him say 2 penetrations. Illegal delay. That's an illegal delay. That'll penalize them back to the 27 of Penn State. Make it second down and 9 to go. Osborne, by the way, is a doctor. A doctor of psychology, has his doctor.
What happened in that situation, they were trying to automatic and change the play at the line of scrimmage, and they run out of time. That's why in college football you see less automatics than pros, because the pros have 30 seconds to put the ball in play.
Delay against the red. Second down.
Second down, 9. 7:45 to go in the first period here at the Meadowlands in New Jersey. No score. The defending national champs in white, Penn State, against the team in red, Nebraska, picked by both wire service polls to win the national title this year. They've won 10 in a row. Penn State has a winning streak of 7 in a row, carrying over from last year. Rozier out in motion. The pass is to Fryer at the 15, and he's dumped to the 14. Second pass by reception by Irving Fryer. He was hit by Chris Sidnor, the defensive back. We have a flag down, I believe.
You might be wondering why that man's so wide open, because the man covered, you see number 17, he watched Rozier, and they threw the ball to Fryer. 97 Radisek is one of the best linebackers in America, but he's not fast enough to cover Frere. That's the number 1 play they've got right now.
That's right. They're getting Fryer out there and isolating him on a linebacker.
Shot block on the red. Second down.
Okay, that's illegal. That's a chop block.
Right, I can explain that to you. What happens is an offensive lineman will set up the defensive lineman, and another one will block him below the waist. That's called a chop block. That's a 15-yard penalty because it could cause a serious injury.
Second down, 24. Is that thunder I hear in the background? We may have a threat of rain. What a rainstorm we had here last night. No score, 7:15 to go in the first period. Nebraska hurting itself now with penalties. Swanson's in at the flanker, replacing Fryer. The pass is complete, and down at the 32 goes Scott Kimball, second string, split in from Camarillo, California. Mark Fruan, the defensive back, was there to fall on top of him. That's a 10-yard gain, but they're still short. They have 3rd down and 14.
There's a good shot at that Gill. Gill is a 2-time All-Big 8 quarterback. He was the outstanding back in the Orange Bowl in 1982. That young man right there.
He made 500 yards rushing last year. 54% pass completion. Here's a rollout again. Goes on the run. He's got Swanson. Swanson is down at the 1-yard line, and Turner Gill is killing him right now with those rollout passes. He threw for 239 yards against Penn State last year and 2 touchdowns and ran for 1.
And it's exactly the same play that just hit Fryer. You'll see him roll out, and he gets a lot of protection, but watch, as he sends a man deep, he's got a little seam there, and he throws the ball with a perfect shot to Swanson. What they're doing there is they're driving one man deep, and then they're dragging a man underneath him. Great offensive theory.
Turner Gill now has hit 4 out of 4 for 74 yards. The last one a 31-yarder. 1st and goal to go. Shalene, the fullback, does not make it. Mark Shalene, there's another flag down. You'd expect flags in an opening game. And turnovers and fumbles, we haven't had those so far. Now some rain coming. No flag down. It was inadvertently thrown. Rain is starting to come down.
Now, but usually in a situation like this, the quarterback will be instructed to run a quarterback sneak. The reason is because there's no ball handling, therefore there should be no fumble.
Rain coming down here in Meadowlands. 2nd down, a half yard to go, and they run the sneak. I don't believe they made it. Scott Radisick burrowed in there. Number 41, Steve Sefter got underneath the play. That's what you have to do around that goal line.
Right. Now, what happens in a situation if they can't make it with a quarterback sneak, you usually have a play where they call it the dive play. In other words, one of those backs that just go right over the top. I would not be surprised to see number 30 jump right over the top of that huddle.
Nebraska started this drive on their own 22-yard line. 3rd down, a half yard to go for Nebraska touchdown. He's got it. Turner Gill scores from Fort Worth, Texas, and he's the man that took this club on a well-executed drive, even though there were 3 penalties along the way. Gill took him down, hit 4 for 4 on the drive. Nebraska moves 78 yards for the score.
The thing that makes him so difficult, he's such a great athlete. You know, Kurt, in 2 of those plays, they were really natural ability plays. He just did it on his own.
Dave Schneider of Plattsmouth, Nebraska, a sophomore, will try the point. I just saw an indication of why Nebraska led the nation in scoring, rushing yards, and total offense last year. That kick is up and good. So it was 4:54 to go in the first period. The University of Nebraska 7, Penn State University nothing. The rain here at the Meadowlands falling. Let's take a look at that quarterback sneak on 3rd down, a half yard. Turner Gill going over.
He tried it in the middle the first time. That time he went over the left guard. That's what they must have found out, that they could go over a little bit to the left. Remember, the reason why he did this is there would be no chance of an error. And they ran right at number 41.
This telecast presented by authority of KATZ Sports. Any rebroadcast of this game without the explicit written consent of KATZ Sports is prohibited. Sid Lewis, a freshman, 21. Kevin Bow, number 11, are deep. Scott Livingston will kick off. He did the punting. He may have won both jobs during the month of August when Nebraska started their workouts. This is California. 7-0. Nebraska has struck first. And here's the boot. Sort of a wobbler. Bounding around. This is a good Nebraska bounce. Gives them time to cover. Bow has it. And Penn State has stopped within their own 15. Boy, Paterno won't be happy about that. You want to get the ball. You've got to get it outside your 20. You want to get it up in the 30s or 40s for field position. And when you're pinned back under your 15, that's a poor kick return. There's a scoring drive. 12 plays, 78 yards. Turner Gill going a half yard and a sneak for the score.
And I would say it was a Turner Gill drive.
All the way. Doug Strang, the quarterback. It's on the 12-yard line of Penn State. First down. Domitio split in. They're going to throw. And it is nearly intercepted. The pass bouncing off the hands of Kurt Bowman, number 80. Bowman, oddly enough, caught only 2 passes last year. Both were for touchdowns and both in the Penn State game. There's Turner Gill.
Fort Worth, Texas. I bet you his mama's proud of him right now. I tell you what, he's a fine all-around athlete. Can you imagine being that great a baseball player and a football player?
Well, he's going to be like John Elway. He'll have a tough decision to make this spring. Second down, then the goal. Here's the draw play, and that's Tony Mumford. And now Nebraska's defense, sparked by their offense, who took the ball 78 yards, playing heads up on the defense.
It's an interesting thing we said before the game. We were concerned about Williams. There's Joe Paterno. Look at that, ranks 9th in the NCAA. We were concerned about Williams' leg. You know what happened? They haven't played Williams one play yet, number 44. The only returning star they had offensively.
He played fullback last year. They were going to shift him back to tailback. This is a 3rd and 9. Tight end in motion. A rollout. Strang throws on the run over the head of Bowman, way over his head. And Penn State must kick. Brett Clark came up to cover it. They have a flag down along the sideline. Anytime you have a rollout, you have a threat of, that's illegal use of hands. No, personal foul, is it?
Personal foul, and I think he might have hit him as he went out of bounds. And if you get a good shot, you'll see that white 6-foot square around the field. You cannot hit a man once he leaves that area on the outside. The referee has got the white hat on. That's because he's the good guy.
Right now, the Nebraska's not very good.
Personal foul on the red. First down.
Well, Penn State gets a break. They're about to relinquish the ball. They would have had a 4th and 9. Now they have a first down on their own 28-yard line. But they look ragged on offense so far.
Well, they look inexperienced, just like we thought they might.
John Williams is in there now. Number 44 is the tailback. Mumford's the fullback. The pitch is to Williams. Williams gets some yardage, comes up the sideline. They'll mark him out of bounds on the 36. He's driven out by Brett Clark, number 10, the safety man. He had a good block from the left guard who pulled Dick McGinnis of State College.
Well, you don't know how important that is. Anytime a young football player has a knee operation and does not play spring football, you're really concerned. And there he comes off limping. I just don't feel that he's going to be able to take the punishment that Nebraska's going to give it to him, Kurt.
Well, they have a freshman in there, Sid Lewis, a redshirt freshman from Canton, Ohio. He was the 100 and 200-meter sprint champion, Ohio. Mumford on a quick opener over the 40, drives to the 41. And Rob Stuckey, the right tackle, got him, and Mark Dahm. A light rain falling now. It's lessened, but what's it like down there, Dave?
Light rain. It's very light in the booth. It's very heavy down here. I want our Nebraska fans to understand why I'm wearing the blue jacket. Some nice soul in the Penn State bench let me use it. I promise to wear a red one if it's still raining in the second half, Kurt.
All right, first down Penn State. They're on their 41. They're trailing 7-0. 3:30 to go in the first period. Doug Strang over the head of Mumford. Tony Mumford on the swing pattern. The ball was not well thrown, Lee.
Well, Strang looks right now exactly like Joe Paterno was afraid he would be. He's not very, very confident. Now, you got to understand, the guy only threw the ball 22 times, I think, last year. So he's going to have a hard time. Penn State is not playing exactly the way Penn State usually plays. Penn State usually comes out, rolls up their sleeves, and tests the other guy's manhood. They get a little too fancy so far.
They've hit only 1 out of 5 passes for 11 yards. That was the first pass Strang threw, a junior quarterback. Second down, 10. The pitch is to Sid Lewis. Lewis ran into his own blocker, and he's smothered by Mark Dahm, the strong side linebacker of Dix, Nebraska. And Rob Stuckey went in there and knocked the blocker into the ball carrier. Stuckey is the right tackle, number 75.
He's 6'3", 250, an all Big 8 All-American and all academic player right there. He got a 3.5 average. in finance. And I tell you what, he might need it if he keeps playing like that.
Double tight end offense for Penn State. They're on their 43rd and 11. Nebraska leading 7-0. The difference in this game so far, the quarterbacking all the way. Turner Gill, a senior, experienced, against a youngster starting his first game. He shakes away. Now he throws. He's incomplete. Sailed right through the hands of Tony Mumford. A big pass rush by Mike Tranmer, the nose guard. He had him trapped, sprang behind the line, and let him get away.
Mike Tranmer, watch him. He's 6'5", 11, 230 pounds. He'll use a great pull technique. You know him, grab that number 58 and pull him, Hayden. Now, the reason he did that, it was because he wanted to use that hand as leverage. Most football teams use tight-fitting jerseys, so they can't do that.
Confirmation, George Reynolds to do the kicking. On 4th down, a high one. Jeff Smith, fair catch on the 13-yard line of Nebraska. And the Cornhuskers will have a first down. So here on the stadium clock, 2:30 to go in the first period. 78-yard drive by Nebraska. They lead 7-0. Shots. Watson.
He caught two. He caught two. He caught one in the seat.
13-yard line of Nebraska, first down. They have a replacement of fullback, Tom Rathman. He's a sophomore from Grand Island. He'll be number 26, replacing Mark Shalene. Nebraska's used to big crowds. They've had 124 home sellouts in a row. And this year, every home game is a sellout a game already.
In the last 21 years, over 8 million people have seen Nebraska football games in Lincoln.
Let's mark this ball on the 14 of Nebraska. First down. Turner Gill, the quarterback. Rozier's the I-back. The fullback has it. That's Rathman. They'll run a option. They'll run a double option. Massey Antonio, number 84, and Joe Hines, number 52, teamed up to stop Tom Rathman. Play didn't look like much, Lee, but it gained 5 yards.
They like that play because it gets their offensive line to hit people. That's Nebraska-style football.
Second down, 5. Nebraska just short of its 20. Rozier in motion. That's Fryer on a reverse. He has a first down. Kenny Fryer's over the 25 to the 26. You take a good look at him. Mike Zordich tackled him. Here he is coming back, 27. Look at his arms. If he had a bare arm jersey there, he has powerful arms and legs. He's a strong flanker.
He was the #1 receiver for Nebraska last year, and his best game was against Penn State when he caught 7 passes for 112 yards.
First down, Nebraska. They're on their 25. They're leading 7-0. There's the pitch to Rozier. Rozier's over the 30. This is what they do to you. They just pound away with the quick tosses, pitches, hits up the middle, now and then a reverse or an option play, and they keep the ball on you.
And you notice they'll run a reverse play about every 5 plays because what happens is to stop Nebraska, you got to send all your players over there. There's Joe Paterno. What a record. 57 years old. He's one of the oldest men in Division I football.
Second down, 3 for the Cornhuskers on their 33. Shalene, the fullback, breaks into the open at the 50, 45, 40, 35. First down, Nebraska. On the 33-yard line of Penn State. And Mark Robinson, the safety man, saved the touchdown on a deceiving player, Shalene, who's very fast for a 225-pound fullback.
Watch, Dale. Everybody's watching Rozier, and they block number 97, Radicek, on his feet, and there he goes. He's 5'10", 225 pounds. He's the fastest man, and you know what happens? You talk about Rozier, you talk about Gill, all of a sudden, there he goes.
Nebraska's on Penn State's 33, first down. They're dominating this game. They're ahead 7-0. Here's Gill keeping the ball. 30, 25, 20. And he's down inside the 15. Right now, he has Penn State mystified, Turner Gill. They don't know who's got the ball.
This is what we talked about, having so many weapons. Gill will fake the ball to Rozier. Remember, Rozier is always catching the fakes or getting the ball. Nobody knows who's got it from now on. It's just his athletic ability.
19-yard run. Here it is. Turner Gill Robinson's made 4 tackles in a row now, the safety man at Penn State. First down, Nebraska. We have 10 seconds to go in the first period. They're on the 14-yard line. Gill's toss. Bad throw. And, you know, if that ball had hung up there, number 27, Chris Sidner, had a chance for an interception. The pass was intended for Irving Fryer, but it was sort of tipped on the way to the receiver, and it died a quick death there on the playing field.
It was an automatic because number 17, Harry Hamilton, was the strong safety blitz.
This fella's like Bud Grant. He never changes expression. Tom Osborne, second down, 10. This will be the last play of the first quarter. Nebraska's on Penn State's 14. A lot of movement up front. Penn State looked like they penetrated, but were they drawn off? Ingebrigtsen, the tight end, moved, number 83 on Nebraska. Let's see what they call it. Offside, Nebraska. They'll go back to the Penn State 19 and make it second down, 15 to go. Still 3 seconds remaining in the first quarter.
Dead ball foul.
Let's check the penalties on Nebraska.
On the red. Second down.
They have had 4 penalties for 40 yards. Penn State's had 1 for 5 yards. There's John Williams, supposed to be the starting tailback. He's bothered with a gimpy knee after a skiing accident in the winter. Had to have a knee operation. On second and 15, a keeper by Gill. He'll throw. He completes it, and that's the tight end for a touchdown. Monty Ingebrigtsen goes in for the score, the tight end. And Nebraska has scored twice on a vaunted Penn State defense, the defending national champs.
From the end zone, you're going to get a great shot. Remember that play that Gill ran where he ran it? This time they send number 83 in the bottom of your picture. He hits an open spot. Ingebrigtsen scores. He's the fastest tight end they've had. So far, Gill is the Heisman Trophy winner, in my opinion.
Well, for the first quarter of the season.
Yeah, well, got to be start somewhere.
Here's the kick by Dave Snyder. It is good, and that's the end of the first quarter, ladies and gentlemen. From Giant Stadium, the score, Nebraska 14 and Penn State nothing. KATZ Sports is presenting the first annual Kickoff Classic. The second quarter will be getting underway in just a moment. What?
Let's go, let's go! Let's go! Let's go, Big Red! Come on!
All right, Kurt Gowdy, Lee Corso, second quarter of the Kickoff Classic. Nebraska just scored, will kick off. Scott Livingston from Lakewood, California, will do the booting. Number 11 is Bow. Number 21 is the freshman Lewis. Breeze is no factor in this game right now. Yeah, Nebraska's looked great in this first score. There's a kick. It's a boomer. Bow fumbles the ball, comes out with it. They may be in a hole again. And they are. He's down at the 15. They can't get field position on these kick returns.
Anytime a receiver like that gets the ball in the end zone and touches it and drops it, you drop to your knee. Now, the reason why he came out is because number 21, Lewis, did not tell him to stay in there. That's an inexperienced play by that freshman.
Scoring drive, 86 yards. The previous scoring drive, 78 yards.
Both by Gill.
He's been the man in this game. Senior quarterback, Turner Gill, all Big 8 2 years in a row. And a candidate for All-American honors this year. Mumford and Williams in the backfield. It is off to Williams. Williams is out to the 20. Moves to the 23. He was ridden down by Brett Clark, the safety man. John Williams. Let's find out about that knee. Dave, did you talk to him or somebody down there in the club about his knee? Now we've lost communication from the sideline. Penn State, second down 2 on their 23. Strang will throw, shoots it out, incomplete. That's meant for Kevin Bow. The ball a little bit behind him, but these passes are ripping off receivers' hands.
And he's throwing the ball a little bit too far behind him that time, and that's a very difficult pass for that receiver, number 11, Bow, to catch because it was behind him.
Kurt, I spoke a moment ago with Dr. James Whiteside, the Penn State team physician. He said the knee is not bothering Williams. It's a cramp. They're working it out, and he thinks he should be able to play the rest of the night.
It is third down and 2. Penn State on their 23 at the opening of the second quarter. The pitch is to Williams. Williams stopped short of a first down at the 25. They needed that one. Boy, they needed those 2 yards.
Let me tell you, here comes a big play for Joe Paterno. It's going to be fourth down and about less than a yard on the 25. Do you go for it or do you punt it?
I believe they may be asking for a timeout. No, Kenny Jackson comes over, and they're going to put the punt team in. George Reynolds, the kicker, comes on. It's fourth down and a foot to go, but they're not going to gamble. They're trailing 14-0. Joe Paterno talking to his All-American flanker Jackson. The safety men will be Irving Fryer, 27, and Jeff Smith, 28. They'll probably try and kick it away from Fryer, but the other fellow's dangerous too. Reynolds, a high one, should have coverage. Fryer waiting, 25, fumbles the ball. They go for it, and it appears to be a Nebraska recovery, but let's wait. He was really hit, Fryer. Nebraska nearly lost the opening kickoff, a fumble by Rozier, and they saved this one. Skeeter Nichols was the man that went down and made the hit. Irving Fryer recovered his own fumble. So before Nebraska takes over with 13-14 to play in the first half, the score, 2 first quarter touchdowns by Nebraska. They're out in front of Penn State, 14-0. It caused a fumble on the hit. And I think Tranowitz, the center, filling in for Dave Remington. That's the third Nebraska fumble that they've recovered.
Now you'll watch, he does a reverse pivot, but it's still the option play. Now Penn State's theory is to let him run the ball and hit him. He does not put the ball away because Scott Radisek just knocks it away. Radisek is probably one of the greatest All-American linebackers they've had at Penn State.
They don't call it linebacker university for nothing. First down. Gill on a straight drop back. Now he's being chased. He throws. Tight end has it. Ingebrigtsen. And there's another fumble by Nebraska. Monty Ingebrigtsen. And Gill was really hit as he let the ball go. Brad Sarr was in on him. Who's got it? Nebraska recovers again. Fourth time they've coughed the ball up, and 4 times they've recovered it. And number 28's on it, Jeff Smith, the I-back.
I tell you what, number 32 Robinson and number 17 Hamilton have been called by Joe Paterno 2 of the best defensive backs they've ever had, and they're making big hits on those receivers. That's why they're dropping the ball. It's not Nebraska's fault.
But Penn State can't get to the fumble. Nebraska's saved their own life here by recovering the fumble. The difference is in the quarterbacking, as that chart showed you. Gill swings it out to Smith, and he is really racked up by number 92, who laid it on him. That's Mark Fruhan, the defensive cornerback. He's from Moscow, Pennsylvania, senior. That's the hardest hit of the game.
Oh, no question. And Mark Fruhan came up from this corner because Penn State is playing all short passes now because Nebraska has not thrown a ball long yet.
Lee, we have a new quarterback warming up for Penn State. That's Dan Lonergan. He's the other quarterback. Strang started, but he's been ineffective. Third down and 8 for Nebraska. Great drop back. Out it goes. It is incomplete. Nearly went into the hands of Irving Pryor, but not quite. Chris Sidnor broke it up, and now Nebraska finally stopped. After 2 long drives, will have to punt the ball. Nebraska leading 14-0. 11 minutes to play in the first half.
You never have to worry about Penn State. They have great people, and they believe you win with character and not characters. They'll never give up.
Well, they've got to get some field position. They haven't had it. Livingston will punt. Kevin Bow, Kenny Jackson to receive. 4th down and 8. Hooches it up there. Fair catch call by Kenny Bow from Deer Park, New York, the senior. That gives Penn State the ball on their 27 with a first down. Let's see if they get going when we come back. The Cornhuskers 14, the Nittany Lions nothing. Nebraska has dominated. They have 208 yards. Penn State has only 34 total yards. Quick opener for John Williams, the tailback. He's out to his 32. Brought down by Bill Weber, the defensive end. A new quarterback now. Dan Lonergan is in. He's from Cambola, Pennsylvania, junior. They opened the season with 2 junior quarterbacks. They're trying to replace an All-American, Todd Blackledge, #1 draft pick, Kansas City Chiefs. The second down, 5, Penn State. And Mumford and Williams. This is Williams, number 44. On his own, he makes it out to the 36. Scott Strasburger, the defensive end, nailed him there. He's number 90.
Penn State is going back to Penn State football. Give the ball to the tailback, make every offensive lineman come off the ball and hit, and see how much yards you can and test them man for man.
Now they're getting a double tight end offense in there. Kurt Bowman and Dean DeMidio, 89. They're going to measure. They have it. Do they? They do. By an inch.
You notice
State has a first down on their 36.
You notice Joe Paterno's done a smart thing. He's brought in his new quarterback, Dan Lonergan, and has not thrown the ball with him.
Quarterbacking has been the difference. Turner Gill, the veteran, hit 7 out of 9 for 94 yards and a touchdown. Strang, the junior quarterback, played very little, 1 out of 7 for 11 yards. Lonergan will throw his first pass. Got his back, look out. He nearly threw an interception to Dave Burke, 33. He was trying to hit Kenny Jackson. He was running a fly pattern right down the field. And he had his back to him, and he threw it into the hands of the Nebraska quarterback.
That had to slip out of his hands, because he's got to be a better passer than that than Penn State. That looked like a wounded duck.
Look at that total offense. Nebraska led the nation last year. Total offense. Over 500 yards a game. They're on their way again this year. Second down, 10. Lonergan on a draw. Gives it to John Williams. Williams to his 41-yard line. He was taken there by the weak side linebacker, Knox, number 44, and Strasburger, number 90, the defensive end.
I'm impressed so far that John Williams is really hitting it up there, aren't you, Kurt? In other words, he's not flinching at all with that knee.
Here he is coming out. Psychologically, you see more players, Lee, who after a knee operation are afraid to cut or afraid to be hit. They can't help it. Once they get a few games under their belt, they get their old confidence back. 3rd and 5 for Penn State from their 41. A bootleg. Lonergan throws a bad pass over the head of the tight end, Kurt Bowman. The passers have been way off the mark here for Penn State. And they'll have to punt again. Boy, if ever a game right now, you could say, what's the difference? It's at one position, quarterback.
And we said that before the ball game.
Irving Pryor, 27, Jeff Smith, 28, to receive George Reynolds' kick. 9:12 to play in the first half. 14-0 Nebraska. Not too high a kick. Pryor on the 20, 25. Pryor lowers his head and drives to the 28, maybe the 29 of Nebraska. Down the cover, Shane Conlon, number 31, a linebacker. Well, the Penn State Nittany Lions stopped them the last time. We have a timeout on the field. Two long drives by Nebraska in the first period has them out in front. The score, Nebraska 14, Penn State nothing.
Mercedes-Benz has spent millions of dollars studying impact absorption, rollover strength.
Giant Stadium, the Meadowlands Complex, the first kickoff classic. Rozier, the I-back, the All-American, carries the ball. The safety man, Mark Robinson's been a standout in that Penn State secondary so far. He tackled him. Ball will be spotted on the Nebraska 38-yard line.
That's the guy. That's John Milton, the linebacker coach. Now, he's talking about the defensive coverages that Penn State is trying to run the ball at him.
43 draw.
He was at Wyoming with Bob Devaney, and now has been with Nebraska about 20 years. An outstanding linebacker coach, John Milton.
Gain of 9 yards for Rozier. He hasn't run wild yet. Gill's been the star of the game. Second down, Rozier has the ball. Is he going to pass it? He is. He throws it down to Fryer. Intercepted by Penn State on the 31. And down goes Mark Robinson. His knee hit the ground, but he was there alertly to pick it off. And that's the first turnover in the game. Nebraska's fumbled 4 times and recovered every fumble.
Now, this is interesting. 2 years ago, Mike Rozier threw a 25-yard touchdown pass in the Orange Bowl. Here he throws the ball over to Manted. And I tell you what, I'm not going to second guess him, but that is not a good call. You're ahead 14-0. You don't mess around. Now watch the angle. He just lets it go, and it goes over his head. And Robinson is back there, All-American first team, interception. Once your knee goes down in college football, you cannot run it. That could come back to kill Nebraska.
First down. Lonergan on a quick give to Tony Mumford, the fullback. Lindenwold, New Jersey. He was stopped by the nose guard, Cranmer. It's on the 34 of Penn State. Second down, 7.
I'd like to say something. I coached 4 years against Nebraska, and I know what Paterno is going through right now. You notice he's trying everything, and nothing's working? Boy, that's frustrating.
Yeah. Second down, 7, Penn State. On their 34, they're trailing 14-0, 8-19 and a half. Dropped back by Lonergan. The pass is incomplete, no flag down. Number 11, Neil Harris covering Jackson. The fans boo. There are 20,000 Penn State fans here, but an honest effort for the ball and no interference.
And the rule says that if both men are going for the football, it is not pass interference. Look at that.
Wow. We have 2 of the top 3 winning percent coaches here. Barry Switzer in the lead, being pressed by Joe Paterno, second place of the active coaches. Osborne is third. There's Paterno.
And I tell you what, when he was an assistant coach, he was probably the best quarterback coach that I ever seen in college football.
1 out of 10 passing for Penn State in this game. 7 out of 9 for Nebraska by Turner Gill. Now they couldn't get together, and a first timeout taken. Lonergan comes over. That's the story, the quarterback situation. It was the story before the game. And for Penn State to win this game, they all figured their defense would have to really hold up. There's the score, 14-0 Nebraska, 8:12 to go in the half. Kenny Bow jumping up to get his hands on it. It was maybe, would have been a very difficult catch. What's your opinion of these passes by Penn State?
Well, right now, they're throwing the ball erratic, and when you throw the ball high like that, that means you're too keyed up. You're not following through, and the ball has a tendency, what they call a sail on you. I don't think Joe Paterno will change quarterbacks until at least halftime, but he gets a chance to talk to him in there.
If this was a baseball game, I'd call the Penn State pitchers wild high. That's what they're doing, throwing everything high and wild. High spiral. Fryer watching it come down to him at the 19, 20, 25, 30, and he's up in it by one of his own men, Rhett Clark. And Fryer's mad. He thought he could have gone down the field another 15, 20 yards. He averaged 15 yards a punt return last year. That's very good. 4th in the nation. 34-yard line of Nebraska will be the line of scrimmage. The Cornhuskers, for late tuners then, scored on a 78-yard drive in 12 plays. Turner Gill went over a half yard for a score. They're working right now on Bob Stuckey, the right tackle, offensively, with 4:54 to go in the quarter. Then at the end of the first quarter, they had an 86-yard drive. Rozier's in trouble, and look at that. 4 or 5 white-shirted Nittany Lions around him. As we told you earlier, Rozier averaged 140 yards a game last year, had 3 200-yard games, but his lowest output was against Penn State. He got only 86 yards against them. How's he doing today, George? Let's see. He's not up to his standards of last year. He's carried 7 times, 28 yards, 4 yards a carry. His seasonal average last year was 7 yards a carry. It is second down, 14. This is Rozier, and they're right on him. And he's hit there by number 43, Mike Zordich. Here's an excellent young outside linebacker, Zordich, from Youngstown, Ohio. One of the rare freshmen to ever start a game for Joe Paterno. He started 3 games last year, Syracuse, BC, and West Virginia.
He's very, very tough and aggressive. He's not very big. He's only 5'11". Rozier has been running the ball hard, but Penn State has geared their defense to stop him. That's obvious.
Third down and 8 for Nebraska on their 36. So far, Penn State stiffened up now. Gill on a rollout, throws the ball. Fryer's wide open for a first down. And Fryer keeps going. See how strong he is as a flanker? He just rips right through tacklers. Chris Sidner had to finally take him. Fryer, fleet, good hands, and a strong runner.
Absolutely one of the best players in America. Now watch the rollout. He fakes to Rozier, who gets a good block on 41 Zordich. Now it's one-on-one, and all of a sudden, watch it. Now right there he gets hit. That's about 7 yards. Remember I told you that the tendency is to check how much yards you make after they get hit.
Nebraska's on the Penn State 47 with a first down. They run the drive play. Mark Shalene, the fullback, is stopped at the line of scrimmage by Mike Zordich again. And Steve Schefter in the defensive end.
They got a new quarterback in there.
Nate Mason in there. Nate Mason from Greenville, Texas, a senior. He could play with most other teams.
He could play on my team. I tell you, he was a good-looking kid in practice the other day.
Second down, 8. Nate Mason threw 16 passes last year, completed 6. He's on the keeper. He tosses to Rozier at the 40, 35, first down. Nebraska's moving again. Mark Robinson, the leading tackler in this game, drove him out. We had an excellent block from the flanker, Shane Swanson of Nebraska. Number 17, watch him on the rerun.
Watch the ground level. He'll make a little fake to Shalene. He comes down. Now, number 43 takes the quarterback. He pitches it to Rozier, and it's all over from here. You notice, as soon as Gill went out of the game, they no longer took the quarterback away from him. That was interesting strategy. They changed right there.
Rozier now has carried 9 times, 48 yards. Fumble. Got the ball back again. Mason kept it. Bruhan came up.
You notice Tom Osborne sends in his players with the plays.
Second down, 5. Nebraska on the 26. Now they're alternating the split end with the plays. Ricky Simmons is back in, going out to the far side of the screen. Second down. A little over 5 to go. Nebraska on the move again. They lead 14-0. Rozier drives to the 20. He may have put his knee down to the 21, though. Steve Schefter was on top of him. Rozier is a very strong inside runner. He needs 183 yards rushing coming into this game for the Nebraska career rushing. He won't get it tonight, undoubtedly, unless he breaks a couple of long ones. It'll come in Nebraska's second game, probably against Wyoming, 2 weeks from last Saturday. They'll play September 10th at Lincoln. The attendance tonight, 71,123. It is short. It'll be third down and a foot to go for Nebraska on the Penn State 21 and a half. Time remaining in the first half, 5:08. Jeff Smith now at tailback, replacing Rozier. Shalene is the fullback, 25. They're trying to get a timeout. Nebraska's yelling at him from the far sideline. Smith's in motion. Here's an inside reverse. And that's Irving Fryer carrying the ball on the inside reverse from the wingback position. He should have a first down. Schefter and Zordich teamed up for the tackle.
from a strictly coaching philosophy, that's absolutely the worst play in the history of football to call on 3rd down and 1 inch. A reverse like that, but you know what? They made it go.
Why is it the worst play to call?
Because it takes too long to get over there, and the defense can stop him for a loss.
Most of them like the quick hitter on the short yardage.
Sure.
First down, Nebraska, Penn State's 20-yard line. They've dominated the ball in this game. Mason throws, open is Bowman, the tight end. Touchdown, Nebraska. Frame, Todd Frame, the tight end, going in, number 80. Right now, Nebraska's waltzing through this club with an awesome offensive lineup.
This is a bootleg. Watch Mason. He'll fake the ball and come out to your right. The reason why the man is so open is there's nobody in that area because they're all covering the deep man, and he's what he calls a crossing pattern. Frayne is 6'2", 215 in the sophomore. The reason why that play is effective is they're so good at running the football. When they fake the run, the passes are open.
That's a 3rd-string tight end they have in there, and a 2nd-string quarterback. You'll see everybody in there, looks like. Snyder's kick is up and good. And Nebraska is galloping away right now with 4:23 to go in the first half. Nebraska 21, Penn State nothing.
Now watch, this is a misdirection play. They will fake one way. Remember how good they've been running? Now Penn State has no idea that guy's sneaking across. That's why he's so wide open. Play action passes are the best passes in the game of football, only if you can run it. And they're running it.
Scott Livingston will kick off for Nebraska. Kevin Bow, number 11. Sid Lewis, number 21, are deep for Penn State. A high kick. Lewis on the 6, the 10, to the 15, to the 20. Breaks it out to the 26 or 27. Listen to this. Nebraska, 150 yards running, 131 passing, 282 yards total offense. Penn State, 39 running, 11 passing, 50 yards total offense. 282 to 50.
I'm going to give you another statistic that's going to kill you. In the last 21 years, Nebraska has led the NCAA in scoring offense and scoring margin. 21 years.
First down, Penn State on their 26. They're trailing 21-0, the defending national champs. A quick toss to John Williams. He's out to the 30. He's to the 32. They're getting short yardage, but they're not getting the passing game's killing them right now. They can't get a big pass play. What's the mood you're down there alongside that Penn State bench, Dave?
Well, this team came in here, Kurt, chanting, "We're number one," and there are 20,000 fans who are giving the same chant. But the bench is a little bit down right now, as are the coaches.
Second down, 5 on the Penn State 31. 3:40 to go in the half. Straight ahead they go. Nebraska keeps giving them the 3-4-yard play. John Williams racked up on his 35 by Mike Tranmer, the nose guard in Nebraska. He bench presses 425 pounds. In the summer, he keeps in shape by working on his parents' farm in Craig, Nebraska.
This spring, they gave him the award as the lifter of the year.
Third down, 1 to go. Penn State needs to keep this ball to get a score in. Skeeter Nichols is now in at fullback, 24. 3rd and 1. That's Williams. And I don't know whether he's got it or not. This is twice. They've had a 3rd and 1. They've got stopped the last time, and
boy, this is even
may not be encouraging for him.
Let me tell you one thing. This is even a more difficult call for Coach Paterno. Here's what he's thinking. If he goes for it and doesn't make it, watch out, brother. It's 28. If he doesn't go for it and punts it, his team's going to think he doesn't have faith in him. I say he's going for it this time. Go for it, Joe. It's easy to say up here, isn't it, Kurt?
That's the old gag. The fans say go and the coaches get fired. 4th down.
If he doesn't make it, everybody says, I told you should have punted.
Yeah. We're with you, wintertime.
Yeah.
And it looks like Penn State's going for it. 4th down, and inches to go. They're behind 21-0. 2:50 to play. Williams and Nichols. Quarterback sneak. I believe he has it. Dan Lonergan, the junior quarterback. He's 206 pounds, 6'3". But until they throw the ball correctly and get some kind of a passing threat, I think they're up against it here.
The key to offensive football is balance. You must be able to run and throw. Every major championship team has had a great running attack and can throw the football.
They've completed only one pass tonight. They're on their 37 with a first down. Al Lanigan looks the field over. He throws. Foul. Look at that toss. 10 feet over his head. Wild high is right. Unless he sailed it out purposely afraid of an interception, but I don't believe so.
I don't think
he would have had to gun that when that strong line drive that they look for in the quarterback to the sideline.
And he can't do that yet because he doesn't have confidence enough to do that. He probably could do it if it was Friday afternoon in practice.
That's now 1 out of 12 for Penn State. They hit the first pass of the game. Since then, they have had 12 straight incompletions, while Nebraska has riddled Penn State with a passing game. Second down 10. Penn State from their 37. Short yardage. Tackled by Bill Weber. Lonergan trying to sprint out of there under the center.
That was a quarterback draw. Now, Coach Paterno's got a problem. The team in red right now is a better football team than the team he has. Like it or not, and I don't care what he does, he can make up plays like he used to do in the neighborhood, remember?
Yeah.
They're not going to work because the guys in red are better.
The only difference is you don't have any dirt to draw on. Third down, 10 to go for Penn State. Lonergan lobbing it deep. The pass complete. They finally got one. They hit Jim Robinson, the flanker, number 87. Neil Harris wrapped him up. That was a perfect throw that time by Dan Lonergan. And maybe this will wake up the Penn State offense.
Now watch, he throws the ball perfect to Tim Robinson. Now the one thing about that, he squared his shoulders. You notice that's the first time he's really let the ball go. A lot of confidence. Now they got to score here to get it going.
Penn State had a 39-yard pass play. Here's Williams. He doesn't get much. He squirms to the 22. He's 11th on the all-time rushing list of Penn State, and Mike Cranmer stopped him. A timeout by Penn State with 1:16 to go. They have one timeout left in this half.
And this is where if they had Todd Blackledge, they'd have a lot better advantage because he had that experience last year, remember, to take them that 65 yards in 1:18.
But that's the biggest word in sports, if. Incidentally, he had a year of eligibility left. Graduated with honors. One of their outstanding students. When we resume play here in the first kickoff classic, proceeds going to the National Football Foundation's College Football Hall of Fame.
Okay, you can see the defensive brain trust there. To your left of your picture, right in the middle is John Milton. To the right is Charlie McBride. He's got his hands on his hip. He's the defensive coordinator. They handle the defense. Tom Alfred handles the offense.
You know, Lee, I'm president of the Basketball Hall of Fame, and we have the Tip-Off Classic with proceeds going to the Basketball Hall of Fame. It's worked very well. The NCAA allows a team to play an extra game each year for the Basketball Hall of Fame, and I'm sure the same thing's going to happen here for the College Football Hall of Fame. We have Houston and North Carolina State coming up this year for the Tip-Off Classic. Look at the game they've got lined up here in the first kickoff classic. Second down, 9 for Penn State. Nebraska's 23. Nebraska leading 21-0. Lonergan on a screen, and that was deflected by number 90, Scott Strasburger, who nearly knocked it up in the air and could have picked it off. There he is. He's from Holdridge, Nebraska. He's a pre-med student. Nearly went to Dartmouth.
They tried a little screenplay. It's a good thing. A screenplay means you let the players come in, but they had a blitz on. It's a good thing he tipped this one. If you see number 44 come into your picture, look at him. Ooh, he had it picked off all the way.
Lonergan now is 1 out of 7 for 39 yards. Penn State's completed only 2 passes in 14 attempts. 3rd and 9. Throws on the run. He's got a man open. It's complete. They're at the 15-yard line. Brett Clark making the hit on Kenny Jackson.
And you know, that's interesting. That's the first time that Kenny Jackson, the best player on Joe Paterno's team, has touched the football.
And the strategy was to try to get the ball to him tonight, but they haven't been able to. The clock is moving on him, and now they ask for timeout. This will be their last timeout, with 50 seconds to go in the first half. Lee, remember when the old days, they used to have what they call the breather? We'll talk about that in a minute. Let's watch this last completion of Kenny Jackson.
From the end zone, you're going to watch the quarterback. They see the blitz, number 4 Knox is coming in. They're trying to put the pressure on Lonergan, and he makes a good throw here. Now, what happens in this situation, number 10, Clark, has got such great reaction. He stopped them just 1 yard short of that first down. Now, that's Joe Paterno in the middle there with Dick Anderson. But I'll tell you one thing, Joe Paterno, the guy right there, the dark hair, he will make this decision. Head coaches make the 4th down and 1 because no assistants want to make them.
Lonergan coming out as 4th and 1. But remember the old breathers? They always open up with a weak team to get oiled up. How about an opener like this for each club? Huh?
No way. You'd do anything for money, won't you?
Yeah. Now, Tom Osborne said, when I walked off the field last year at college, at State College, I was glad that I wouldn't be playing Penn State again. Here I am back again. That was the last of the scheduling with Penn State in the regular season. 4th and 1. He's rolling for it. He throws too high, incomplete. It was intended for Kevin Bow, number 11. Nebraska holds and will take over. A great pass rush by Dave Ritter, the defensive end, 86. 45 seconds to go, Nebraska's ball. That's the most serious threat that Penn State's had in the game.
Even though they didn't score, at least psychologically they can go in and the coaches can talk about something positive, right?
Turner Gill is back in now. Wonder why they took him out. Just give the other kid a chance?
I think so.
First down, Nebraska on their 15-yard line. Gill on a pitch. That's Jeff Smith. Smith runs it out. He can move it. Flag is down. With 39 seconds to go. Mark Truhan drove the ball carrier out. Smith.
That's that Smith we watched at practice yesterday, the other day. He's 5'9", 190. He only averaged 10.2 every time he ran the ball last year.
I think he scored, what, 7 touchdowns and 56 carries last year.
And he can't play.
You know, that's an interesting point you make. Rozier
holding on the red. First down.
Came closest to the Heisman Trophy of any returning college player this year. Now, do you let this fella play on a powerhouse team when they're way ahead? And his coach Osborne says no. He's going to get honest statistics, and also we have to get kids ready for the future behind him. And we play for the team here, not for... There's Gill being wrapped up by Todd Moles. But Osborne said, we're not going to have any artificial stats. We're not going to run up scores with Rozier to get a lot of yardage. He's going to get them honestly, and we're going for the long-range program here, as we always have.
See, that's the kind of class act he has. If he's going to beat you, he's not going to really what you call embarrass the other coach. That's the kind of class act he is.
There's your time in the first half. A rout in the first half for Nebraska. Penn State fans are stunned here. He gives off to the fullback, Rathman. That should be the last play of the first half. The gun is out. The first half is over. Nebraska 21, Penn State nothing. Let's go down to Dave Dials.
Okay, Joe Paterno, ever the gentleman coming here. You do not want to be interviewed right now, do you?
What are you going to do, Dave? You know, Nebraska's playing awfully well. The kids are running hard, and they're coming off the board well, and we just have not had enough offense to give our defense a chance to get some rest, and we just got to generate some offense. The two quarterback, a little jittery. I got a guys open, and they're overthrowing and what have you, but... you know, that's what we got to expect with kids.
I know you're in a hurry. One more question. You said last night And I didn't know whether you were kidding or not. Maybe you weren't. That we'll be lucky to hold Nebraska to 30-some points, and you described Osborne as one of the great coaches in the country, and Nebraska is one of the truly remarkable teams.
They've got a remarkable offensive football team, and if you can't score some points, you get troubles. And we obviously haven't been able to generate any kind of a drive until just before the half. But I think we'll play a little better second half.
I'm sure you will, Joe.
Okay.
Good luck. Joe Paterno, one of the great coaches of all time, Penn State.
All right, KATZ Sports is presenting the first annual Kickoff Classic. We'll be back with our halftime activities after this word from your local station.
Nebraska beats itself. They almost did in the first half.
Yeah, the remarkable to fumble 5 times and get that ball back 5 times, because that ball can take a flippy bounce somewhere, or maybe your man's not right in the area. Here's Penn State coming back.
Now, Penn State's got a lot of character. They've won over 80% of their ball games over a period of years. They'll come back. In the last 37 years, Penn State ranked 2nd in winning percentage of games.
There's the man, number 12, Turner Gill. He's one of the captains, but he was a leader in the first half. As we say, he has to make a decision later on whether to be a professional baseball player or a pro football player.
The one statistic I like about Turner Gill, he started 18 football games for Tom Osborne at Nebraska, and he's 17-1.
And the one they lost was to this same Penn State team last year, 27-24 in the last 4 seconds. And he took the team right down and scored near the end of the game, and Penn State needed a miracle to pull it out.
Okay, Penn State can win this football game with one factor. If they play well on defense and force Nebraska to make some turnovers, get a touchdown quick, they got a chance to win it.
Here are the captains coming out for the second half. Osborne has his back to you, Dr. Osborne, I should say. I didn't know it, but he, I guess like myself, he's an avid fisherman. That's his hobby. Here are the Cornhuskers coming on, the Big Red, and boy, they have been a Big Red machine here in the first half. And here's Paterno, who has won 15 out of 17 of his opening games. Let's go down to Dave Dials now.
I'm with a very conservative man, a man who's a little bit like Tom Landry in that he doesn't very often express his emotions outwardly. Tom Osborne, there's got to be a big smile in here right now.
Well, not yet. We got, you know, characteristically, I guess you might say, we got another half to go. And last year at Penn State, the score was 14-7. We had really played poorly, and we probably should have been behind 17-0. We came back, probably could have won the game. And so Penn State's not done yet. This is a team with a lot of pride, a lot of good athletes. So I'm really anxious to see how we come out and play. You know, I hope our players don't go flat, don't let up on us, and keep playing hard.
You substituted rather liberally in the first half. Any particular reason for that? The first game you wanted to use some more players, see what they could do?
Well, we have confidence in a lot of football players on our team, and we want to keep them fresh, and we'll try to do some of that throughout the year.
Tom, you had said earlier that you didn't know how good this football team was. And you had also said originally you were not keen about this game. I don't think that's any big secret. Neither you nor Joe really wanted to play this game. But you said whichever team played it, you would be a better team because of it.
Well, I think that an extra game gives you a little extra practice. You had good competition. And we'll know a lot more about our football team tomorrow morning than we did going into it. And hopefully it'll make a better team next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks down the line.
No injuries first half?
No, nothing serious.
Okay, keep him healthy. Tom Osborne. As I say, rather quiet man, and Kurt, as you mentioned, a man who has a doctorate, very studious man who doesn't say much, but you can tell what he's thinking.
He wasn't a big-name coach when he went in. He was from Hastings College. He was an assistant under Devaney for 6 years. When Devaney named him the head coach to replace Devaney, who became the athletic director, somewhat of a shock or surprise around Nebraska, but no more. Anytime Anytime you go to a bowl game every year, 10 years in a row, and finish in the top 10 each year, you got yourself a famous head coach now.
Like I said, the E.F. Hutton of college coaching. He doesn't say much, but when he speaks, everybody listens.
Harry Hamlin's going in to receive a kick for Penn State, number 17. And Mark Robinson, they're 2 defensive players now going on the attack for the kickoff. Scott Livingston will kick off Nebraska. The first kickoff classic opens the second half. Nebraska ahead 21-0. The kick is coming to Hamilton. Fumbles it. Up for the ball. And they're in trouble. He's down on the 8. Third time out of 4, they have failed to get the kickoff beyond their own 20-yard line. Put him in a hole right away. Let's check the backfield. Doug Strang is starting the second half. He started the first half, was taken out after a 1 out of 7 passing performance. Remember, they're stepping in for a fella, one of the best of all time at Penn State, Todd Blackledge, an All-American last year, who took him to the #1 position. Williams and Mumford are the running backs. First down, Penn State. They're on their 8-yard line. In a hole to open the second half. The pitch is to Williams. Williams is being hemmed in and driven out of bounds on the 6-yard line, maybe for a loss. Let's see who drove him out. We have a flag down. That was Dave Burke playing cornerback. We have Bow, Jackson, the wide man, Heller, McGinnis, Hayton, Woofter, and Short, the interior lineman. Strang, the quarterback from Linwood, New Jersey, a junior. Williams, a tailback. Mumford at fullback. Let's check Nebraska defensively. They have Weber at end, Keeler at tackle, Cranmer at nose guard. The right tackle is Stuckey, and Strasburger is the right end. Dahm and Knox are the linebackers. McCashland is the monster man.
Holding on the white. Decline. Second down.
Nebraska declined. Penn State loses that down in 2 yards. It's second down 12. Burke and Harris are the corners, and Brett Clark the safety. Second and 12. Penn State from their 6. Double tight ends in there. Bowman, DeMidio. Strang out of the end zone. Bad pass. Now they're throwing low. Bow was open, crossing the middle. All he had to do was throw a good pass to hit him, and we're not trying to criticize his quarterback. That's the story of the game. They're having a tough time getting the proper pass to the receivers.
Okay,
they can't open their offense up.
Well, let's say why. He threw 22 times last year. That's all. He's an excellent student in his field of business, but there's nothing like playing in a game. Practice is a lot different than a game.
Third down 12 for Penn State. A lot of movement there. '89 is Dean DeMidio, tight end from Westchester, Pennsylvania. Joe Paterno at halftime when he was interviewed, Lee, didn't say we're going to pull this one out. He did say, though, we'll play better in the second half.
Illegal procedure on the white. Third down.
Well, they're getting a rocky start here in the third quarter. Now the ball's back on the 3-yard line. It's third down and 15 for Penn State. Jackson and Bow, the receivers, spread wide. Here's Strang out of the end zone. And another pass complete to Bow that time. He's out to the 14, but he's short. And Bow made a marvelous catch. That's a tough catch when you have to reach down with a man about to hit you.
He's the big play man for him. Now you'll see a roll out to the left. Strang will set his feet. Now watch him. He will aim the ball. Watch it. Now watch when he throws it. He will aim it. See him aim it? And the ball goes down that way. He's got to relax and just throw the ball normal. That's easy to say up here without those big red gorillas after you.
Here's the kick by George Reynolds. A beauty. Drifting high. A fair catch called on the 37-yard line by flanker Irving Fryer. And Nebraska's ball first down. And they go on the attack for the first time in the second half with a 21-0 lead. By the way, the hang time on that kick was 6 seconds. We'll be back at Giant Stadium right after this. Has their regular backfield in. Turner Gill at quarterback, number 12. Mike Rozier, the I-back, number 30. Mark Shalene, the fullback, 25. Fryer, the All-American flanker, 27. Ricky Simmons, the split end, number 7. Inga Britson, the tight end, number 83. First down. From their 37, they've got a mishandling of the ball from center. A mess up there. It's recovered. Steve Schefter sitting on top. Drainowitz, The Turner-Gillani exchange, not a smooth one by any means, and that's a 3-yard loss for Nebraska. Second down, 13.
I wouldn't be too happy, though. That's the way they started the game off. Remember? They had a bad-looking play, lost 3 or 4 yards, and all of a sudden, boom.
Remember, 3 long drives by Nebraska. In this game, produced their 21 points. Shalene hit, comes through to the 40. They call him the Freak. His teammates, he's so strong. He was a walk-on in the spring of '82, and then he started in the Orange Bowl last January.
He's an interesting
Massey Antonio, the linebacker, 84, made the hit. Here's Ricky Simmons bringing a play on.
Shalene, the fullback, went to Nebraska Omaha and transferred to the University of Nebraska.
There's the total offense figures way in favor of Nebraska. This is a 3rd and 7 for the Cornhuskers from their 40. And number 70, Gattuso, over anxious. If he jumped in that neutral zone and got back without touching anybody, he was all right. But I think he touched the Nebraska player, which makes it encroachment. Now, that may call a different play. Instead of 3rd and 7, it's 3rd and 2, Lee.
And you notice they brought in another tight end and took out Simmons, the receiver.
3rd down.
Watch Gattuso.
He's so aggressive, he doesn't want to wait for the snap count. He wants to hit somebody, but that's against the rules.
He touched the center, Trainowitz.
With his left hand.
Here's the pitch to Rozier. Rozier is hit, and they throw him for a loss. And on him is Harry Hamilton, number 17. Harry Hamilton, the hero. They didn't like the name Wolfman, Monster Man. They want to have something nice for that hellacious hitter, so they call him the hero in their defense. That's a loss of a yard. It's 4th down and 3 for Nebraska. Scott Livingston in punt formation averaged 43 yards a kick in the first half. And Kevin Bow, Kenny Jackson are deep for Penn State. The kick is away. A floater. Fair catch on the 19. Penn State puts the ball in play. Kevin Bow handled it. Penn State, outside of only a couple of times, Lee, has had any kind of field position in this game. We're going to be back here at the Meadowlands. 12:05 to play in the 3rd quarter. Nebraska 21, Penn State nothing. The ball just short of the 20-yard line. Their own territory for Penn State. Strang is the quarterback. Gives it to Williams. Williams short yardage to his 22-yard line. Tackled by Mark Dahm of Dix, Nebraska, the junior strong side linebacker. His brother, by the way, plays at the University of Wyoming, and they'll be playing against each other on September 10th in Lincoln.
Interesting thing about Dahm, too, he only played 8-man football in Nebraska, and they recruited him as a walk-on.
2nd down, 7 for the Nittany Lions. Double tight end set up. Seiberling and Bowman. Seiberling's a freshman, 6 feet 6.5. It's off to Mumford. Mumford's out to the 28, running a draw play. The 2 linebackers converged on him, Dahm and Mike Knox. Passing tonight, Penn State 4 out of 18 for 68 yards. Nebraska 9 out of 11, 131 yards. That's the difference. 3rd down, a yard to go for Penn State. John Williams back in at tailback, 44. They're going to pass on 3rd and 1. The pass intercepted on the way is Mike Knox. Touchdown, Nebraska. Mike Knox picked it off on the flat and scored. Strang was trying to hit Tony Mumford. Big rush in there by McCashlin, the monster, who made him get rid of the ball in a hurry. There's the hero, Mike Knox, Castle Rock, Colorado, a walk-on, a heavyweight wrestler. He scored his first touchdown of 1983.
And the reason why he scored, they put a strong safety blitz. Like you said, McCashin got into the face of the quarterback. They did not see Knox coming from the inside out. He intercepted and scored.
Dave Schneider will try the point. He's been perfect tonight, and it's no good this time. He missed to the right. 10:46 to go in the 3rd quarter. Nebraska 27, Penn State nothing. Just intercepted the pass, ran 27 yards for the touchdown. Here's pressure by McCashlin. The toss, he's right there to pick it off. Open walk into the end zone for him, and Nebraska has a 27-point lead. Livingston will kick off. Bow and Lewis are deep. And he booms this one deep to Kevin Bow. Coming out to the 10, 15, 20, up to the 30. There they got to run back, and they're out to the 36. Red Clark, the safety man, hit him on the covering kickoff team for Nebraska. Now watch this run back.
Now he's a big-time, big-play man. He's only 5'9", but as you see right here, he has an acceleration. Watch right there. He puts in that extra gear, and he's gone. He's a big play man, and he's also an outstanding runner on reverses.
There he is, Kevin Bow. We have Lonergan back in a quarterback. He gives it off to Williams on a quick draw. Mark Dahm meets him, the strong side linebacker at the 36. Penn State has not had a breakaway threat in the game, nor a long ball threat with a pass.
The secret, one of the secrets of Nebraska's defense, they have not allowed Kenny Jackson, who Joe Paterno calls the best football player he ever coached, a first-team All-American, to even touch the football.
Well, he's caught one pass. Second down 10 for Penn State. On their 36. Lonergan under the rush. Throws it. Look out there, because number 11 was covering Neil Harris. We had a tremendous rush by Ken Sheed, a third-string nose guard. Nebraska now starting to pop in second and third stringers.
Now, you know what happened is Nebraska is now just not worried about the run anymore. They're just going to try to test that quarterback. The problem with playing a team like Nebraska at a game like this, you'd rather play them at home, because they can only bring, when they play away from home, they bring 50 players, and all of them are good. If you play them in Nebraska, they have 90 of them. They can't run it up on you so bad.
Third down 10. Fisher goes in at left corner now, replacing Harris. Penn State from their 36. Williams out in motion. They swing it to an incomplete pass. And that makes it 4 out of 19 passing for Penn State. Fourth down 10. Joe Paterno has won 15 out of 17 opening games. He'll be hard-pressed to win this one.
But I tell you one thing, Joe Paterno did one thing in 1967 that was outstanding. He lost 2 of the first 3 games, went home and changed, and came back and won 8 straight.
Punt formation. Reynolds kicks it away. Pryor fading back on the 8. Irving Pryor coming to the 10. And he's finally dropped on the 16-yard line by Chris Collins, a linebacker from Carnegie, Pennsylvania. We have 9:43 to play in the third quarter. Nebraska leading Penn State 27-0. Mike Rozier, not only in this game but throughout the season, he'll break the all-time career rushing record in Nebraska in his second or third game. But tonight he's had only 51 yards on 11 carries. However, his team's ahead 27-0, which shows you the firepower they have. Here's the pass to Pryor, 20. Pryor's up to the 25. Look at him shake and go. Goes backwards. He's going to pick up some blocks. He's at the 30. He's at the 35, the 40, the 45, and he's up to midfield. A sensational run by Irving Pryor. You can see why Gilbrand says this is the #1 prospect of the wide receivers in the country.
And you know what everybody at home will say? Watch this one. They'll say, what a coach.
He made this decision on his own.
What a coach. Watch. He's supposed to run to the left there, but all of a sudden he says, wait a minute. I'll get away from that guy and take off around the end. That's why Osborne's won all those games. He's got guys like that.
He now has got 3 passes for 73 yards. First down, Nebraska on their 49. Turner Gill going deep. There he is. Simmons, the overthrow him. He was out in the open. Ricky Simmons. Greenville, Texas, covered by Chris Snyder, but Gill overthrew him. Gill had 8 out of 10 in the first half, so he's now 8 out of 11. Oh, 9 out of 12 for 144 yards. Nebraska on their 49, second down. They were going for another big strike then, Lee. 27's not enough for him. Rozier. And they pound him down at the 47 of Penn State. He's met there by Mark Fruhan, the defensive back. They obviously are keying on him tonight.
And that's why all those play-action passes have been working. When they fake the ball to Rozier, the Penn State people make a commitment, and Nebraska runs a nice little bootleg or misdirection play, and it's got 2 touchdowns on that play.
Swanson's in now, replacing Pryor. 3rd down and 8. Penn State defending. Nebraska's on their 47. There's that option. There goes Gill, and he's close to a first down. See how he turns upfield? A split T and out option quarterback's got to be able, he's got to have those that strong drive in his leg. When he makes the turn, he goes. I think Dave has something on Gill down on the sidelines. Dave?
Kurt, a few minutes ago when he was here with his teammates, even though he was up 27 points, he was admonishing them and himself. We're not playing as well as we can. That gives you some idea what kind of a performer Turner Gill is.
They're on the Penn State 41 now. 4th down and a foot to go. Nebraska leading 27-0. Coming through. Rozier. Camden, New Jersey. Fourth in the nation rushing last year. 7-yard average per carry.
One thing about him, you'll notice he's 5'11", 210 pounds, and I believe he's about every bit of 220 the way he was dressed down there in the dressing room the other day. He's a fine-looking athlete.
Nebraska's on Penn State's 35-yard line with a first down. 7:35 to go in the 3rd quarter. They have trouble with the yardsticks. Penn State, by the way, has not been shut out since December 31st, 1972, when Oklahoma beat them 14-0 in the Sugar Bowl. 121 games. They're shut out right now midway in the 3rd quarter. Out of the eye. Gill keeps it. Trailing back. Rozier at the 34-yard line. He's hit by John Walter, the defensive end. Robinson came up to help. What a player this Robinson is, the safety man.
Robinson's a first-team All-American, and he's an excellent student. And I tell you one thing about him, he gets better and tougher as the game goes on because he's coming up and making great plays. Now, Tom Osborne is thinking one thing. He's thinking balance right now. And you'll notice you don't have any idea where Nebraska's going to hit or who they're going to give the ball to. That's why they got Penn State going crazy.
Rozier's career record, 2nd down, 9. Gill quick to Ingebrigtsen, the tight end. On Ingebrigtsen, he scored a touchdown tonight. Radicic wrapped him up. The ball's at the 28.5-yard line of Penn State.
You notice this drive. Pryor's made a great play. Gill's made a great play. Rozier's made a great play. Ingebrigtsen. You have no idea where they're going to attack you, and that's why they're so potent on offense.
5:55 to go in the 3rd quarter. Nebraska 27, Penn State nothing. 3rd down and 3. 4 out of 8 on 3rd down conversion. Gill keeps the ball. He's got the first down. They didn't run that option. Boy, he read that in beautifully out there. When that in drifted out, Rozier doesn't even have to carry a ball in the game, and he's a threat.
Okay, number 86, Walter, did exactly what the coaches said. They said if they run an option, you take Rozier and somebody else will take Gill. But the problem was that somebody else got knocked down.
I wonder how many yards Gill has rushing tonight. He's doing pretty well himself. He may outrush Rozier. First down, Nebraska on the Penn State 20. He has 53 yards rushing. Gives the ball to Rozier. Rozier knifes ahead to the 16-yard line. Passes to Antonio. Makes the stop on him. Turner Gill, look at the rushing. Been uncanny with the passing.
You know, Kurt, as an I formation coach, the I formation is designed to run inside. But with a quarterback like Gill who fakes inside and goes outside, you can't stop it.
Not with a quarterback like that.
No, he's got too much quickness.
Quick, strong, he can throw, he can run. He can probe you in every direction. There's a handoff to Shalene. There's a flag down. The fullback, Mark Shalene. Carried just short of the 10, but a flag drop. Chris Sidner, the cornerback, made the hit for Penn State. Maybe a holding call against Nebraska. It's about the only thing that stops them tonight is a penalty. They have been fortunate, but let me say they've also been very alert on recovering their own fumbles. They fumbled 5 times in the first half and recovered every fumble. Holding against Nebraska. Let's put the ball back on the 26 of Penn State and make it 2nd down, 16 for Nebraska. There's the Goodyear blimp. After the rainstorm, there are the Olympic rings. Pompano Beach, Florida, the Goodyear blimp. Captain Don Plostina. Randolph, Ohio, the chief pilot. 15-year Goodyear mention. Werner Gill fakes. Look out. Starts to run. Now they drop him at the 25. And he's hit there by Greg Gattuso, the defensive tackle, number 70.
Greg Gattuso has been playing outstanding football. If you could see him, he's one of those 6'3", 260-pound typical Penn State guys that are really tough. In fact, he's got such great quickness in one of their defenses called the Magic. You see him? He covers a back coming out of the backfield.
3rd down, 15 to go for Nebraska. 3:50 to play in the 3rd quarter. Penalties, Nebraska 6, Penn State 2. Not a lot for an opening game. Gill under the gun. Great catch. The ball was Mark Robinson hit Irving Fryer. That was a tough catch, but he held on to it.
How many 27s are there out there?
Sideline to sideline.
Oh.
That's 4 catches for Fryer. Now, let's see what Osborne does. It's on the 17 of Penn State. It's 4th down and 7. And they're going to try a field goal. Dave Schneider of Plattsmouth, Nebraska, a sophomore, will try a 34-yard kick. It is up, and the kick is good. He booted it 34 yards, and Nebraska now leads 30-0. Oh, the Cornhuskers 30 and Penn State nothing.
You know, in 1900, the Cornhuskers had a different nickname. You know what the nickname of Nebraska was in 1900?
The Cornmen?
No, the Bug Eaters.
Bug Eaters?
Yeah, they were named the Nebraska Bug Eaters. Could you imagine having a big bug as a mascot and the other team coming out with a can of Raid and trying to kill your mascot? And you know what they did? The Iowa Hawkeyes had 2 names, the Hawkeyes and the Cornhuskers. So they went over and borrowed the name from the Iowa Hawkeyes. Instead of the Bug Eaters, they are now the Cornhuskers.
What a glamorous nickname, the Bug Eaters.
Go Bugs, go!
Well, they haven't been eating bugs tonight, but they've been eating up the Nittany Lion. Sid Lewis, Kevin Bauer deep. The kick by Scott Livingston. Fouls there for it on the 3. Got to the 10, to the 15. Got a crack. Comes up to the 24. And he is tackled. Lonigan's in a quarterback. 24-yard line. Penn State's ball, Whaling, 30-0. A very quiet 20,000 fans of Penn State here who are almost in disbelief. They're not used to seeing this traditional winning team behind like this in a game. Even though they're playing a team favored to win the national championship this year. Scooter Nickel, number 24, played on a state championship football and basketball team at Cambridge, Maryland, brought down by Ken Sheed, the 3rd-string nose guard at Nebraska. So it's on the 31-yard line, a gain of 7, 2nd and 3.
Nichols set the all-time state scoring record when he was in high school. So he was a highly recruited athlete.
2nd down 3, Penn State. There's the quarterback comparison. Turner Gill, 11 out of 14, 4 out of 21 for Penn State's quarterbacks. That is the freshman, Sid Lewis from Canton, Ohio. Sprint champion from the state of Ohio. Again, Ken Sheet dropped him.
Interesting story on Sid Lewis. He had 6 brothers, and all of them were college athletes. In fact, his one brother was my trainer at Indiana. He's a tremendous football player.
Were you after him at Indiana?
Are you kidding me? He went to Penn State and fell in love with that Italian.
It is now 3rd down and a yard to go, and Penn State's asking for a timeout. They'll have 2 left.
Well, they had a mix-up that time. One of the men thought he was supposed to go out, and the other one didn't. And the quarterback, Dan Launderen, made a really smart move there by calling a timeout so we could at least try to get a first down here.
The biggest losses. Joe Paterno hasn't suffered many in his 17 years of head coaching. He lost by 38 points to UCLA back in 1966 and by 34 points to Michigan State in 1966.
You know, an interesting...
He's behind 30 points right now.
An interesting statistic about 1966. Penn State has had 45 consecutive non-losing seasons. And in 1966, Joe Paterno was 4-5. Going into the Pittsburgh game at Pittsburgh, had to win it to keep that streak, and he won. You talk about a competitor, boy.
500 seasons.
He made it. 45 consecutive non-losing seasons. You know who holds the record for basketball? The University of Louisville.
Yeah, they've had some great teams in that Final Four every year. Well, it seems like it. Denny Crum. 3rd down, a yard to go. Running the option play. They're out to the 36, Larnigan, and they have a first down. Mike Knox, who intercepted the pass, ran 27 yards for a touchdown, made the tackle. We're down to 1:37 to go in the 3rd quarter.
You see the Nebraska defense, they're known as the black shirts in Lincoln because they wear black shirts to intimidate the rest of the team when they're practicing.
I know one thing, they get a lot of rest of that offensive teams on the field with those long drives they put on. Here's Lonergan to throw, and it's incomplete. There's no interference on that. That was Dave Ritter. He was going for the man. The ball sailed over his head. It was intended for Sid Lewis.
Did you notice when John Milton was in here before the ball game, he said they were going to try to stop those crossing patterns that Penn State beat him on last year. And that's a perfect example where number 86 Ritter was covering a man across the field, man for man.
That's 4 completions in 20 attempts now for Penn State. 4 out of 20. 2nd down 10. Penn State on their 36. The I formation. Quick one. Complete to Bow for a first down. Kevin Bow has it on his 47. Neil Harris. Sometimes with those cornerbacks playing loose, they ought to be doing more of that.
And you'll wonder, why was he so wide open? Well, the quarterback got up in the hot line of scrimmage and said, hey, you're wide open, I'm going to throw it. Although they got a number that says something. That was an automatic, and he had one-on-one coverage, and ball took off.
Penn State first down on their 48 in the last minute of play of the 3rd quarter. 30-0 Nebraska. Quick toss to Lewis. He's hit for a loss. And on him is Bill Weber, the defensive end, 87, from Lincoln, Nebraska, junior. An academic All-American, by the way.
Boy, was that a nice play. He just went inside the tight end that time on Bowman and did an inside stunt and made a great play on it. He has a 3.7 out of 4 in business administration.
Lewis comes out. It is 2nd down, 14 for Penn State on their 43. Scooter Nichols is in there. Skeeter Nichols. Drop back pattern. Lobs it out. Incomplete to the big freshman tight end, 6'7", Brian Seiberling of Erie, Pennsylvania. All you got to do is lob that ball up for him. If he can jump anything at 6'7".
Again, that was that crossing pattern that they beat Nebraska on last year, and I think you'll see more and more of it.
They even threw the ball over his head, Lee.
Now there's Joe Paterno, and I tell you what, he has not been in that situation very many times. But I promise you, the competitor he is, I wouldn't want to play these guys 2 weeks from now.
5 seconds to go. This will be the last play of the third quarter. Lonergan's pass way over the head of Kevin Bow. He was out there on a turnaround pattern coming back, a comebacker, and the ball sailed over his head. I guess he got rid of it in 4 seconds. 1 second to go in the quarter. George Reynolds is in the punt.
You know, George Reynolds is an interesting story. He's from California, and a lot of schools out there wanted him, but his dad went to Penn State. Remember, Joe said that the kid always wanted to come to Penn State where his dad was. He's waited 4 years to get this chance to punt, and he's doing a great job.
They got Swanson now back as a safety man instead of Fryer. You know, Fryer was injured a lot last year, and with Nebraska out in front 30-0, they may not want to take any chances of getting him hurt in this game because of his history of injuries. He's been a top player tonight, catching passes, running with the ball, and he'll be a big threat for him.
You think if Grantland Rice was alive that he would call these guys the 4 thoroughbreds?
He might.
I mean, I never seen the 4 horsemen play, but I tell you what, they had 7 mules in front of them. These guys got 7 Clydesdales in front of them.
How about the 4 bug eaters? But this is the greatest all-time backfield that Nebraska's ever had. No doubt about it. George Reynolds in punt formation. Fielding this kick will be Jeff Smith. He asked for a fair catch, and he's got it on the 17, Nebraska's ball. That's the end of the third quarter at Giant Stadium in the Meadowlands Complex. And the score is the University of Nebraska 30, Penn State nothing. The fullback. And Mason on the run throws. It's an incomplete pass intended for Irving Fryer, number 27, the only member of the regular backfield in the game. There are the stats after 3 quarters. Double first downs for Nebraska. Rushing yards 198 to 65. Passing yards 178 to 80. 376 total yards Nebraska. 145 Penn State. Each team has had 1 turnover.
Turner Gill's got more yardage than Penn State.
Second down 10. The fullback Rathman from Grand Island, Nebraska, is dropped at the 20-yard line by Steve Sefter, the defensive end. Well, I've always heard, Lee, maybe you won't agree or will agree, that the mark of a good coach is how much his team improves during a year.
Joe Paterno's theory is also you get better after the first game and between the second game more than any other time in the whole year.
We have a 3rd down and 7. Mason running the option, and they stop him at the 24-yard line of Nebraska. Harry Hamilton, the hero man, dropped him. Nate Mason, Greenville, Texas. He's a senior. He's had the bad luck to play behind a man like Turner Gill, the best quarterback Nebraska's ever had. But practiced and played with enthusiasm and done his job, but showed a lot of character. Punt formation now. One of the few times Nebraska's been stopped in the game. Bow and Jackson are the safety men. Wobbly kick. Fair catch call by Bow. Fumbles the ball, and Nebraska may have it. Bow, usually a sure-handed receiver. Nebraska recovers. Who's on it? Might have been Steinkuhler or Rathman, the fullback, recovered it. The second turnover charge to Penn State. Nebraska has one, and Nebraska has the ball right back again. And now, instead of on their own 20, they're on the Penn State 40. 13:38 left to play. Julien is in at fullback. There's that reverse pivot. Mason laterals the ball out. Stopped at the 39-yard line is Jeff Smith, the junior. First game last year, he ran 80 yards for a touchdown. He had a 65-yard punt return against Kansas. He's from Wichita, Kansas, a junior.
He could probably play for a lot of teams in the Big 8, but of course with Rozier there, he doesn't get much playing time. Mason is an outstanding athlete. He's the fastest quarterback they've ever had at the University of Nebraska.
Well, they have a second down and 13 from Penn State's 43. Mason looked like he wanted to throw. He runs it to the 40 and gets down to the 35 of Penn State. That's a gain of 8. That option has been tough to stop tonight, Lee.
Oh, yeah, this is from the ground level, from the end zone, you'll see the rollout. He comes out, he's going to option runner pass. Number 53 covers the tight end in the flat, and he runs it. That is the most difficult play to teach a quarterback. You've got to be a great athlete to have that kind of sixth sense, know when to run or throw.
Third down 5 for the Cornhuskers on the Penn State 35. Second man has the ball. There goes Smith exploding through. If he hadn't stumbled, he might have been gone. He's at the 20-yard line of Penn State, and Bob Onko tripped him up, number 93. Or else Mr. Smith was in the end zone.
All right, and watch the right guard, the left guard, Harry Grimminger, and the left tackle, John Sherlock. Both guys are pulling, and that's why he runs through the hole. He's got that low center of gravity, and he's kind of squirts through the hole. Yeah, 5'9", 190.
Tell a little story about the Nebraska Classics in a minute. First down, Mason on the keeper. He's to the 15, to the 10. He's in there. Nate Mason scores, 21 yards out. Gil Turner, and now Nate Mason.
We just said the toughest play in football to stop is the option play, and particularly when you have a quarterback who has great speed. Watch. You're going to love, what did we ever do without replays? Watch, a reverse action freezes everybody. Now, from right here at that point, watch. Boom. That's not coaching, folks. That's God-given great speed.
Nebraska now has mounted a 36-point lead. And Snyder's boot is good. And Penn State may be in a position to lose by the biggest margin a Paterno coach team has ever lost. 37-0 Nebraska.
Now watch your line blocker, number 72 there. Rordinen comes in the line. Now watch this little quickness right there. Boom. That's what you can't coach right there. You notice how he went 5 yards faster than anybody else on the football team? That's called foot speed. He's got it.
Lewis and Bow are deep for Penn State. Now Don Wingard is going to kick off for Nebraska. Oh, Osborne will get a chance to look at a lot of fellows tonight with this big lead of 37-0. This kick will have to be grounded by Bow. First down Penn State after the touchback on their own 20-yard line. Didn't you coach against Osborne at Nebraska? Did you play him, Indiana?
Well, we had the distinction of playing him 4 times. I coached against Coach Osborne, and I made the same mistake that Joe Paterno made. One year, we almost beat him and made him mad. We had him on national television the next year, and they beat me 69-17 just to show me. So I don't want Penn State to get beat bad, but he might beat my record.
Just squeaked you out, huh?
Yeah.
69-17?
Yeah. We scored the last minute to make it 69-17.
First down. Lonergan, the quarterback for Penn State. Bow has the ball. Kevin Bow. Wrapped up by Neil Harris, the cornerback. Be a first down, Penn State. That's the 6th pass completed in 26 attempts for Penn State.
All right, it's a good snap. He gets back. Now watch him. He makes a good throw because he sets his feet. You notice how he sets in a pocket? Boom. Nice throw. And that's the toughest pass to throw, going right and throwing back left. But he threw it perfectly.
Penn State's on their 35. First down. The give is to Sid Lewis, the freshman tailback from Canton, Ohio. Short yardage, a couple. And the hit made on him by number 61. That's Mike Keeler, the defensive tackle. You know, there's quite a story on Keeler.
Yeah.
He had major surgery for stomach cancer. He set out 1982. But he had a cancer operation in 81. Here you just saw him make a tackle, and he started this game as defensive tackle for Nebraska. A great story. Steve Smith's now in the tailback. Lonergan's going with a bomb to Bow. He's out there. It's incomplete. Penn State is yelling interference. that he was bumped along the way, but the official says no. What do you think about it, Lee Corso?
Well, the pass interference, one thing about it, it must be first a catchable pass. That's number one. Number two, that they both have an opportunity to go for the ball. And three, if he pushes him with his hand before he gets there like that, I would say that's pass interference, especially with 37-0. I mean, a guy ought to call that one, right?
Paterno thought
yeah, so nice.
Third down, 8, Penn State on their 37, trailing 37-0. Here comes a blitz on. There's a pass. It's caught for a first down, I believe, by Kenny Jackson. And that was even throwing high.
Yes, but they were putting the pressure from the backside. I'd like to add one thing about that Keeler. You know, they told me at the coaches the other day that not only did he have that problem in his stomach, you know what happened? His father died watching him practice football 2 years ago at Nebraska. I mean, you talk about a great story. Mike Keeler.
First down, Penn State. Ball will be on their 45. Been a Nebraska route, 37-0. Nebraska has been picked by both wire services, the Riders poll and the coaches poll, to be #1 this year. Penn State was #1 last year, meeting in the inaugural Kickoff Classic. Game, of course, not as close as everybody thought it would be, although Nebraska was a favorite. Jackson has it. Kenny Jackson from South River, New Jersey, on a marvelous catch. That's his third catch of the game. Biggers made the stop. Well, that's the kind of play that has made Paterno very high on.
Right. Yeah. Now watch it. It's what they call a crossing cut. Remember I told you that Nebraska was worried about them crossing? There it is, a perfect example. The greatest test of a man's character as a football player is how you play when you're 37-0. There's a great football player, Kenny Jackson.
Penn State on the Nebraska 27. Time remaining in this game, 9:55. A draw play. Going nowhere. That's Steve Smith, third-string tailback, a freshman from Clinton, Maryland. And Joe Paterno says, might as well give these youngsters some game time and let them get their feet wet. Brett Clark, the safety man, made the stop on him. No gain on the Nebraska 27. 2nd and 10.
You know, Joe Paterno said no matter what happens in this game, we will become a better football team by playing a great team like Nebraska than we would have been playing a lousy team and beating them. I believe him.
2nd down, 10. Flanagan fires. It's complete to Sid Lewis, number 21, the freshman tailback. They'll put it down on the Nebraska 14, where it'll be a first down.
It's a low end zone shot. You might say, why is this guy wide open now? Well, they got the second unit in there. That's one of the reasons. Number 46 is not Knox. And he comes across the middle, again, in that favorite spot.
First down, Penn State on the Nebraska 14. Bill Emerson is the third-string fullback in the game now. He's the lone setback. He has the ball. He did have the ball. A fumble. I believe he recovered his own fumble. 8:30 to go. Nebraska ahead, 37-0. Both teams have an open date this coming weekend. Then Penn State will play Cincinnati. Nebraska will play Wyoming.
You know what happened last time Penn State had an open date? They beat Nebraska. They took a week off, and they went down and got bombed by Alabama last year.
That's right. That's the only game they lost. 2nd down, 12. The fullback now is Tim Mano. There's a pass. And, Bow had it and then couldn't hang on to it. Kevin Bow. Todd Fisher was there with him. A high rainbow job. It nearly dropped into his hand.
Nebraska has blitzed the last 3 plays, and they're playing man for man. Todd Fisher, that tried to play Kevin Bow, and did a pretty good job of having position on. But that ball kind of laid up there too long, didn't it?
High arch. Lonergan is 7 out of 16. Which one? You know, it's hard in this one game. Which of these 2 quarterbacks you think will win this job?
Well, I'll comment on it in a second.
All right. Third down and 12 for Penn State on the Nebraska 16. Here's a reverse to Jackson. Jackson's at the 20. Hit. Goes to the 15. Still going and gets down to the 12. Kenny Jackson brought down by Ken Sheed, the third-string nose guard. Ronigan and Emerson blocked for him.
Going back to
After
answer
the
your question.
handoff.
Ground level replay will show what kind of athlete number 82 Kenny Jackson is. Remember, this guy holds 22 Penn State records. It's a little misdirection play. Lonigan gets a good block. Watch him. He'll break one tackle and go forward. But watch the pursuit on the red shirts. 1, 2, 3.
Fourth down. 8 to go. Pass is high to Jackson. Penn State is stopped. Nebraska's defense takes over. And they'll have a first down on their own 12-yard line. With 7:11 to play in the game, Nebraska's ahead 37-0.
Now I'll answer your quarterback question again. I don't think Joe Paterno will do anything until he has some time to talk to the quarterbacks, and then he'll make the right decision.
We'll be back from the Meadowlands. Nebraska, 7:11 to play. Nebraska's ball on their 12-yard line. Dave Dials on the field will be cutting you right after this play, as the Cornhuskers still have Nate Mason, the second-string quarterback, in. Jim Thompson, the third-string flanker. I think Rozier's in there. He is a tailback. Fumble by Mason. Keeps the ball. Gets away. Look at him. He broke 2 tackles. He's got a loss, but he could have been tackled for more. Strong running quarterback, Nate Mason. Dave, what do you have for us?
Well, you know, there will be those Penn State partisans, Kurt, who might say that Coach Tom Osborne is pouring it on. He really is not doing that. He brought 70 players here to the Kickoff Classic. He has used about 54 of those players, and I'll venture to say before the evening's out, he'll use them all.
Good point, Dave. We've been talking about the second and third stringers. That's Rozier. Oh, he was met standing up. And he was hit hard there by Don Graham, an inside linebacker, freshman from Pittsburgh.
Let me tell you something. This guy would make my team right here. 37-0, and you crack that guy, put him on your team.
You said that. That's probably a move him up a couple of
First
notches.
team, brother.
1 tackle.
Right there.
Third down 8. Nebraska from their 14. Mason to Simmons. The flag is down. Is he out of bounds? He's out of bounds with it. Ricky Simmons. They were high school teammates, by the way. Mason to his old high school buddy Simmons. But a flag was dropped. This is a holding penalty against Penn State. Defensive holding.
What happened is as the wingback went out in the flat, one of the defensive backs grabbed him in his jersey. That's an automatic first down.
Officials will mark it off. You know, the Sporting News had a recent poll of the leading football coaches in America, asking them to name the greatest college football team of all time. And those coaches named the 1971 Nebraska team, coached by Bob Devaney. Osborne was an assistant then, as the greatest team ever. Oklahoma's 55 team finished runner-up. 21 is Paul Miles of Princeton, New Jersey. You agree that 71 team was the best ever?
Absolutely. Bob Devaney is the athletic director, is one of the greatest coaches of all time. He produced 22 All-Americans and 72 All-Big 8 players in 10 years. But one thing about him as an athletic director, in the last 3 years, Nebraska has won the Big 8 All-Sports Championship going away. That's a great tribute to Bob Devaney.
Second down 5 for the Cornhuskers, leading 37-0, 5:20 to go. There's Miles. By the way, he's the fastest back they have. Mike Suter tackled him. Now we're down to the third string here.
Okay, this is what I was saying about you don't want a player, but you don't have all the good players. Watch, this guy, you know what he's going to do? He's going to prove to the coaches that he's better than those other guys. You'd be better off playing against Rozier right now than that guy Miles, because Miles wants to prove that he's better, and he'll run crazy.
We have a third-string quarterback in there, Craig Sundberg now. So Osborne has his third and fourth stringers in against the defending national champs. There goes Miles again, getting outside. You know what they used to say about discipline? The greatest discipline as a head coach is to have a third stringer almost as good as the first stringer. Well, you no loafing in practice.
No, tell them the story about what happened at practice the other day about Rozier loafing.
Now, we were watching Nebraska work out, and Rozier, they were running their plays, and he said to Tom Osborne, "This artificial turf sort of hardened my legs, Coach." And Osborne said, "Well, why don't you sit down? As some other guys like to play on it." Rozier did not sit down. He kept practicing. Second down, 2. Sundberg runs the option. They've ate him alive with that tonight. Great option team, this club.
Well, what the option does, it goes back to the beginning of the ball game. You know, what they do is they fake the ball into the inside. Now watch number 21 Miles fake. That freezes all the white jerseys. You notice the white jerseys inside, and then they come out with the option play, and he can run or throw. Now, you know what that option play does? That gives them 3 balls to play with. Remember I said he didn't have 3 balls? They got 3.
Sundberg, the third-string quarterback, looking good. So is the third-string tailback, Miles. 37-0 Nebraska, 4:40 to go. And the first man has the ball coming through. That's the third-string fullback, Tim Brunhardt of Norfolk, Nebraska.
Kurt, remember I said it's not very good to play these guys away from home, because see, if they were home now, they could put their 5th-string fullback in, but he's not here.
Nebraska started this drive on the 12. They had 3 long drives in the first half. 78, 86, 66. Now the reserves are doing it. 37-0, 4:08 to go in the game. Nebraska's lead. That's Miles shaking away. He's inside the 15. Well, what are you going to do? Tell a bunch of kids, hey, don't score, or go out there? They're all trying to move up a notch in this club. They're looking to the future. Most of these kids are sophomores, freshmen playing now, and they want to impress this coaching staff. Miles has 4 carries, 33 yards in the game, the best average of anyone. It's on the 15-yard line, a first down Nebraska. 4 minutes to play. A runaway win for the Cornhuskers. Out of the eye. The fullback has it. Brunhardt. Number 32. He's to the 10, and Tim Johnson.
Penn State's got a lot of their young people in there, too, and they're testing them. Remember, the most important thing I can say right now is the season is just beginning. They've got 11 games to play. Penn State could still win the national championship. If they won 11 straight and Nebraska was to lose a couple, they could probably win it again. They lost last time. They won a championship with 1 loss.
Right. Second down 6 for the Cornhuskers on the 11-yard line of Penn State. Nifty handoff. See the reverse pivot and see him slide that ball off his hip to the quick hitter going through. He can handle that ball, that Sundberg.
You know one thing that's interesting? The same exact plays that they ran 15 years ago, they're still running right now. But Osborne does not recruit players and change them. He recruits players that fit into his system, or he doesn't take them.
Third down, a yard to go. Quick toss to Miles. Miles hurdles to the 1-yard line, fumbles the ball. With 2:48 to go. Yeah, I've never seen a team fumble as much in a game and recover their own fumbles. I think that's 6 fumbles for Nebraska, and 6 times they've recovered alertly their own fumbles. Alexander tripped him up and knocked the ball loose. Now Nebraska has a 1st and goal to go, and this entourage of Penn State fans, 20,000 who came here, are very quiet and very glum. They're about to suffer their worst loss under the head coaching of Joe Paterno. Nebraska fans roaring. There goes Miles, and they stop him, and there's a flag down with 2:18 to play. Want to thank very much Bill Creel tonight for his assistance here in the booth in Norristown, Pennsylvania, and keeping our statistics, George Hill of Phoenix, Arizona. Defense offsides. There's Kenny Jackson with his back to you, the All-American flanker.
Remember, these guys were the national champs last year, and those guys had something to do with it.
We have 2 minutes, 18 seconds to go in the first kickoff classic.
Offside on the right.
Miles, touchdown. Paul Miles, M-I-L-E-S, Princeton, New Jersey. A lot of New Jersey players on both teams in here. He scores. He's a sophomore, 195. He looked good on that drive, Lee.
This is the dive play I talked about. I thought they might run the other. He just vaults into it. Now, remember, in college football, you cannot hurdle. You can dive over the hurdle. Now, watch him just get nice and springs off there. Herschel Walker did this play here better than any man I've ever seen play football. Him and Sam Cunningham.
Miles carried that drive. The kick is good. Miles carried 6 times, 39 yards in that drive. Well, we'll be back for the closing 2 minutes. 44-0, Nebraska. Blimp looking down here, the Giant Stadium in the Meadowlands. Unless Penn State scores and gets a point, Joe Paterno is going to suffer his worst loss as the Penn State head coach. He lost by 38 points to UCLA in 1966. Right now he's behind 44 points. On the 5-yard line, Ray Isom, number 22, has it. And he comes out to the 20, and Penn State takes over. Just under 2 minutes to play. They're a happy gang. Well, they had a psychological edge, I think. They lost a heartbreaker last year in the last 4 seconds to Penn State at State College. It cost them the national title. They lost to Clemson in the Orange Bowl by 7 points, and then last year's loss, they've lost 2 national championships in a row by narrow margin. They really want this national title. They've got the material to get it this year, and they came in here really stormed up for this game.
And they were well prepared, and had nothing to do with Joe Paterno's preparation. The better football team won tonight.
44 points better. Lonergan is the quarterback. They may be going with him from now on. Well, they'll play it out now with 1:59 to go. Flags down. They got 4 stringers in there now. That's Dozier, number 42. He's a freshman from Virginia Beach, Virginia. They dropped the flag with 1:53 to go. I asked Tom Osborne how much of his offense he had in for this game, and he said 95%. Because we have an experienced backfield that's played together for 3 years, or 2 years especially. I asked Joe Paterno, and he said 65% of his offense is in. Why would Nebraska have 30% more?
Because all the players coming back, they never change their offense. As I said before, they had the same offense 15 years ago. They have the same playbook. They just keep getting good players.
Illegal procedure on the right. First down.
That's first down, 15, Penn State from their 15-yard line. Lonergan to throw. Well, he was throwing under pressure then.
You know, Tom Osborne has got a great record. One thing about Osborne that a lot of people don't understand, but they should know, he has a PhD in educational psychology, but he was a great athlete. In fact, in the state of Nebraska, he's the only man in the history of the state to win the high school outstanding award as the athlete and the college athlete of the year. The only man ever. Huh.
Second down, 15. A draw play off the Dozier. 18-yard line, the clock moving. Penn State not calling any timeouts. 1:30, they're behind 44 points.
Joe Paterno last year was the National Coach of the Year.
There's a pass that's complete. Trying to get out of bounds. That's number 81, George Alpert, a four-stringer from Livingston, New Jersey. He's a freshman. He looked pretty good coming over that time.
Interesting story on him. He's a former professional baseball player that just came out for the team about 2 weeks ago.
College rules, they can play professional one sport. They're eligible to be an amateur in another one. That clock stopped the clock with 1:11 to go.
As I was mentioning, Joe Paterno was the National Coach of the Year last year, but Tom Osborne was the Fellowship of Christian Athletes Coach of the Year last year. There's Tom, his trusty assistant.
I think in the last 21 years, Nebraska's had the best record in the country, wins and losses. Flag is down again with 1:11 to go.
I know they love their football because 2,000 people came out for their picture day. Can you imagine that?
Well, that's all through that area. Oklahoma, Texas, Nebraska.
Encroachment on the red.
Football is
Second
king.
down.
This will be the first shutout, unless Penn State scores, since the Sugar Bowl game. January 1st, 1972, 121 games. Penn State has gone in a row without a shutout. Oklahoma was shut out by USC last year. They held the record for the most games in a row before being shut out. Ooh, ejection. We're down to 45 seconds. 44-0, not a surprise that Nebraska won. They were the favorite. They returned the veteran backfield with three standouts, Turner Gill, Mike Rozier, and the flanker, Fryer. They had a definite edge on offense. Penn State was supposed to have the edge on defense. But Penn State did not have any passing game tonight. The quarterbacking was not up to Penn State standards, starting two players tonight that had not played, or played very little.
In fact, that gentleman right there, Laudergun, has never lettered at Penn State.
Going to have a measurement. "39 seconds remaining, 44-0. Here's the Penn State schedule. An open date, then Cincinnati, Iowa, that'll be a tough game. Temple, Rutgers, Alabama, West Virginia, Boston College, Brown, Notre Dame and Pittsburgh, their last two games.
And interesting, every one of those games with the exception, the big games, I'm one of the ones they got to win, are at State College. They got a better chance of beating teams on the grass than they do in the artificial turf, and they only have Pittsburgh away from home.
They practice, though, on artificial surface when they're coming to a stadium like this. 39 seconds remaining. Fourth down and a foot to go for Penn State. They have a first down, and they plow ahead to the 45 in Nebraska. D.J. Dozier carried the ball, a freshman. Paterno has freshmen in there now in his backfield along the line. So does Nebraska. They're down to third and four stringers with 34 seconds to go. The first down stopped the clock, and now they'll ready the ball. There it goes. A couple of more plays, and the inaugural kickoff classic will be over. Right out of the hands of number 81, and that is George Alpert, a freshman from Livingston, New Jersey, but a flag is down. Well, it wasn't a classic as far as the final score is concerned.
Well, we had a situation where one of the best football teams probably in a long time got hot. The other team couldn't do anything, and a quarterback named Gill was the difference at the beginning, and he forced the other team into a game they can't play. Penn State has never been famous for catch-up football, with the exception of Blackledge last year.
Rozier had the big year last year, 1,600 and some yards. It'll be hard for these fellows to pile up individual statistics. They're going to dominate some teams along the way, and they won't get a lot of playing time in the second half.
They got a football team. They're worried about winning, not the Heisman Trophy, and I like Todd Osborne's attitude about that.
26 seconds to go. Lonigan's toss is complete, and they got the touchdown. They avert the shutout with 20 seconds to go. St. Louis caught the ball. They were nearly shut out for the first time since January 1st, 1972. And that catch by Lewis, a good toss by Lonergan, just averted it.
Yeah, he goes back to the left. He throws this back, which I mean, he rolls one way, throws it up. It's a perfect pass. And I'll tell you what, that might have been the difference between Lonergan being the quarterback next week or Strang right there.
We'll have the kick. 44-6 now. And it is no good. It is blocked by Brad Smith. So it's a 38-point lead. That ties the all-time worst defeat for Joe Paterno. We'll be back at the Meadowlands. Yeah, Ricky Simmons, Paul Miles deep for Nebraska. Trying an onside kick. Wobbles back. If it went 10 yards, and Penn State has it, it's their ball. I believe it is. It has to go 10 yards. It did, and squirted back to Penn State, so they've recovered the onside kick. Lance Hamilton, 45 on it. Now we have 19 seconds.
Coach Osborne will not be satisfied with that kind of play because you're behind 44-6. What do you think, they're going to kick it off with 19 seconds? Holy mackerel. He'll be chewing those guys out left and right on that one.
All right, they're in their lone setback. Lonergan's toss is complete to the 30-yard line. He may be working his way into the first-string quarterback position now.
Absolutely.
Tim Robinson made the grab.
What he's got to be careful right here is he's got to be careful because they're in a prevent defense. He's got to be very careful not to throw an interception and have him go all the way for a touchdown. That would kill him.
We have 7, 6, 5. The pass is incomplete. 3 seconds to go. A Nebraska victory in the inaugural Kickoff Classic. One more play. Penn State started school for 203 yards. Nebraska opened their school year today.
And talking about the schedules, Nebraska has Oklahoma at Oklahoma in the last game of the year.
This is the last play of the game. It is out. It is complete to Cyberlin. The ball is fumbled, but it doesn't matter. It's all over, and the final score, Nebraska 44 and Penn State 6. Here's Osborne coming over. Paterno go over there. Jackson shook his hand. We'll be back with the post-game show right after this message. Let's go all the way. He had a 78-yard drive. Turner Gill went over the last half yard. 7-11 gone in that first quarter. Then they put on a 86-yard drive with Gill passing to the tight end, Monty Ingebrigtsen. 2:30 to go in the first period. Frayne caught a 21-yard pass. 3:34 to go in the half. It was 21-0 in favor of Nebraska. In the third quarter, a pass interception by Mike Knox. There's the Kickoff Classic trophy, by the way. Knox scampered 27 yards for a touchdown. 28-0 Nebraska. Nate Mason ran 4 yards, 21 yards for a score. Miles a yard run. And when they had that lead of 44-0, Penn State finally scored on a long pass to St. Louis to avert the first shutout. That's a happy bunch of Nebraska youngsters, well-deserved. They came into this game heralded to be the #1 team this year, and tonight they certainly look like it, Lee Corso.
Obviously, they look like, unless they stumble, they could go to the Oklahoma game with undefeated, and I'd say Turner Gill will be the #1 candidate for the Heisman Trophy.
We'll be back after this.
As we're on the field with a victorious coach, Tom Osborne. Going to allow us a small smile now, Coach.
Sure. Well, we were really pleased with the way our players played, and I was really glad they came out and played hard in the second half. And I guess, Dave, if I had to pick out one thing I was really excited about was our defense played pretty well. And, of course, Joe is rebuilding his offense, And I don't know that we can say this is a real true test of either team. I'm sure Penn State will come on and have a good season. They always do. And we can't be complacent. But I thought we played well. And I was particularly pleased with our defense. And offensively, of course, we thought we were going against the strongest part of their team. And did a good job.
Tom, it's never a perfect game. And you bobbled the ball more than Tom Osborne likes to, so I'm sure that as difficult as it may be for you to do, you will have some criticism of your players, won't you, very privately?
Oh, there's a lot of things we got to do a lot better, Dave, and we, but you know, for a first game and with the field wet and the ball wet, it wasn't too bad. And so I'm overall pleased, and I'm just amazed. I thought it'd be a real tight game, and we'd be lucky to win, and I didn't have no idea we'd be able to win like this.
Tom, we'll let you go. We'll be talking with Turner Gill. I don't have a vote in the most valuable player, but if he is not the most valuable player in this game, then the voters ought to have a saliva test. We'll be back to the Meadowlands right after this. Except his taste in music. He doesn't like Willie Nelson. Turner Gill, your original choice for playing football was not Nebraska.
Well, really, as far as making my choice of going to college, I wanted to play both sports. And Nebraska is primarily the only school that I was going to play both sports, and that's the main reason why I chose Nebraska.
Natch, as a boy growing up in Texas, I'm sure that you had a hero among the Texas teams.
Well, really, I guess I was an Oklahoma fan growing up as a kid because they had all the Texas players going to Oklahoma, and they had a lot of stars. And I guess as a little kid, I grew up, I was always wanting to play for Oklahoma and be a star with them.
All right, you're going to have a difficult choice to make somewhere along the line. You've admitted you came to Nebraska because of your great love for two sports. Do you like one better than the other?
Well, I guess maybe deep down inside I love baseball more than I do football. I guess I enjoy it more, but, you know, whatever's the best for me at the end, that's what I'm going to do.
If you play baseball as well as you play football, you got a brilliant future ahead of you no matter what you do. Turner Gill, thank you so much for being with us.
All right, thanks a lot.
I know you want to go celebrate with your